What's up, everybody? What's up, Kryptonites out there? This is Cryptocurrency for Beginners, and my name is Derek Yaswal, and we are live here and actually getting started about 30 minutes after the scheduled time, having some difficulties, technical difficulties here on the internet, with the internet at my office. And of course, when we schedule a set time for the live, everything gets a little bit backed up. I usually just go live whenever I feel like it and just kind of turn it on. But today we scheduled a really great interview, and I'm really excited to share that with you guys. I'm going to bring our guests on the live stream here in just a few minutes here. I just wanted to set the stage a bit and also wanted to say thank you for everyone in the group. We just surpassed over 10,000 members, which I think is just incredible how fast this is all growing. It's kind of, I guess, shows the hunger for knowledge in this specific space right now, and just kind of, how fast everything's moving as well. Good morning, Dan. If you are live on the stream, go ahead and comment. Let us know where you're watching from. And thank you for your patience if you've been hanging out for the last 30 minutes wondering where the hell I am and when I'm going live. Well, we are live now, and I'll bring Joel on in a moment, and we'll be doing the interview and giving you some really good education about the Dash project, what Dash is all about, what the future of Dash looks like, what kind of unique use cases for Dash there are, and basically all your questions will get answered. Joel's like the guy. He runs Dash Force News, as I've told you, we've posted about, and it's basically like the media arm of Dash. So he knows just about everything you could possibly know. Maybe he does know everything. We'll ask. But you can see Joel's on there commenting right now. He's waiting and happy to join you guys on the live stream in just a few minutes. Telly, what's going on? Nate, Virginia. All right. Sydney. Got a lot of people in Sydney, and actually I'll be out there in March. We're going to do a live event, and I'm very, very excited to do that and be out in Sydney. Never been to Australia before, so it's going to be pretty exciting. All right. So yeah, just to cover a few things, we did pass that 10,000 member mark. So thank you guys for everybody that's been coming to the group, and all of you that participate day to day. All of you that report the spammers to me as soon as they come on and, post about their Ponzi schemes or whatever it is. And, we're always having a pretty fun time roasting them in the comments as well. So it's been pretty entertaining. So we are at 10,000 members in this group. That's amazing. I want to thank you all for participating and for being active in the groups. It would definitely not be possible for this group to be what it is without all of you participating. I personally can't be in here every day commenting on every post and making sure everything is exactly how I want it to be. So thanks for all of you guys for participating and for helping me out. So we got about 10, 15 of you on here so far. Who else is watching? Where are you guys watching from? Let me know. I'm getting ready to bring our guest on here in just a minute, and we will get live with the interview since we're about 30 minutes behind schedule. I don't want to waste too much time covering everything else, and I don't want to keep Joel waiting any longer. So I'll bring him on in just a moment, and we'll get going with that interview. But yeah, if you haven't heard about Dash yet, if you don't know what Dash is, then, I'd be pretty surprised. But if you want to know everything about how Dash works, of course, there is a lot that goes into the technology behind cryptocurrencies. And there's a lot of different cryptocurrencies trying to do different things and solve different specific problems. So we're going to kind of talk about Dash's value proposition, what they're adding to this space, what they are doing behind the scenes, and actually there's some really interesting things that make Dash special and unique, and we're going to talk about that as well. So let me go ahead and bring Joel in here, and we will go ahead and go live, and we'll do the interviews. So and again, this is going to be, I'm going to just do a little interview first, and then we'll go ahead and answer all of your questions. And I think we can get a lot of them covered today. And yeah, Joel's in New Hampshire. We're gonna bring him on in just a moment. I just sent him the link, so he should be coming on, and we'll bring him into the live stream here. All right, Arizona, nice. So that's definitely where I'm from, and Joel is actually from Arizona as well. So we'll talk to him about that in a moment. And New York City, all right, very cool. How's it going, Bob? Hope you're doing well today. And we are about to cover everything you need to know about Dash. And, you know, I didn't check quite yet this morning. Let me go ahead and take a look. We've seen a really incredible run up in the Dash value. $13 or $1,375 currently. I think we saw it run up over $1,500 yesterday. We've got Sinu in India. Awesome. All right. And that is very cool to see. So I'll go ahead and bring Joel on here, and we will go live. And yeah, let's talk about Dash. All right. Joel, can you hear me?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Awesome. Yeah, we are in this little winter wonderland here, and I think we're gonna stay in it. So, yeah, how you doing? You're out in New Hampshire. Is it getting cold there at all yet, or how you feeling this morning?
A little bit.
I mean,
I think. Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yeah, it's perfect.
All right. Yeah, it's a little bit chilly around here. It's got a little bit of snow. There's gonna be another big snowstorm tomorrow. It's gonna be fun. I always like watching people spin out. That's always fun until someone gets hurt, and then I cry. So
yeah. So speaking on that, you're from Arizona originally, right? I know you were living out in Arizona for a long time. So how's that compare to the winters there in New Hampshire?
Well, it's a pretty radical difference. I mean, it's it's basically you never need a long sleeve shirt in Arizona if you're brave, and yeah, out here you kind of need a coat and some other stuff. It's kind of good though, because in the Phoenix area, it's just mockingly bright and sunny all the time, and for someone like me, got depressing after a while. But with New Hampshire, there's motion. It's like every 3 months you take a vacation by staying in the same place, because you got 4 really good seasons, and so I'm much happier here.
Cool. Yeah. So that's kind of the opposite of me. I moved to Seattle for a while, and the rain made me depressed, like the lack of sunshine. So I don't know, kind of opposites there. But what actually brought you out to New Hampshire in the first place? Because I think knowing your story, it's kind of interesting. It falls in line with how you ended up working with Dash. So what brought you out there in the first place?
Yeah, many cryptocurrency people, especially in the beginning, before it was profitable, right, got involved because of a passion for human liberty, right? And that's been something that I've been on. I've been semi-professionally and then professionally working in what's called the Greater Liberty Movement for about 16 years now. And eventually, I'm one of those really impatient people. I have no patience. I want to do things now. And so I want to live in a free society now. And then I hear there's a bunch of crazy liberty craving nut jobs all over there in New Hampshire, and they're all there trying to just live to their maximum potential right now. And like, if that's the front lines, I got to go. So I packed up everything and just moved out there. And on my drive over, I stayed with an acquaintance in Chicago, and he gave me my first Bitcoin paying for lunch. I kind of heard what it was, but I didn't really I just heard that a lot of people were equating with gold and stuff.
Right.
And then once I got it and started using it, I'm just like, you mean all this talk about end the Fed that starts like audit the Fed votes and stuff like that? You mean like we can just start using better money right now? Well, sign me up. And then, one thing then before you know it, that's like all I cared about. And then now, of course, I see it's more than just a replacement money. It's like the rabbit hole. Now it's like the singularity. So it's everything.
Yeah, it's kind of taken over everything very quickly, and obviously the technology is not quite there yet, but we'll talk about that a little bit. But yeah, I think that's interesting. That your story is kind of similar to mine. I actually was considering moving to New Hampshire for a while, but I kind of fell in love with Asia, and I was like, I just want to get out of America completely. I don't know if that was just me, but yeah, I think that's really awesome. And what would you say that in your area, in your community, that there is a lot of usage of cryptocurrency or alternative currencies, if you will? I know there's a silver trade is big there from what I've seen. Would you say it's pretty widely used today?
Yeah, very much so. I mean, depends on the community, obviously. But for example, the nearby town of Portsmouth, which is right by the ocean, has about 20,000 inhabitants and about 18 places that accept Dash. So It's almost like one for every 1,000 people. That's not that bad at all. And I mean, we had our first Dash meetup on an impromptu at a teeny little bar. 15 people showed up. Everyone paid in Dash for their beer at this little hipster bar that they keep their crypto. They don't transfer to fiat or anything. So nice. It's a really good place. If you go to discoverdash.com, which is a site that I help run that lists all the Dash accepting businesses around the world, you just go over New Hampshire and there's this big red cluster right there, and you just zoom in, you can just see, wow, it's really used everywhere. My freezer's full of organic meat that I have a CSA that, I just pay direct in Dash. In fact, they prefer that. And, it could go on for a long time, but I'm sure I'll get to plenty of that soon.
Yeah, so that's actually a good point. So you mentioned you bought your first Bitcoin, you were using Bitcoin. What made you stop using Bitcoin, or I guess switch to Dash? Because I know you're one of the main evangelists that are out there preaching the Dash cause. So what actually made you stop using Bitcoin, or did you stop using Bitcoin? I guess I should ask first.
Yes, I absolutely stopped using Bitcoin. I have none. And the last of it was just some dust I found in the wallet that turned out to be worth a little bit more than a dust, but still not very much. And just got rid of that as soon as I could. Basically, I think late 2015, I believe that then I decided to quit all my work, right? Because before I'd had some part-time jobs and was any work I could that would pay me in Bitcoin, I'd take, right? But I still did like at least half fiat currency and then half Bitcoin. And then I decided I'm just going to quit all my jobs and just find something that'll pay me all in Bitcoin. So I did that. And then I, right about this time of year, actually, like just a couple days before Christmas, I cold emailed the Cointelegraph's main email. And then the editor answered within like 8 minutes or so. And I got a job like that day.
Nice.
So it just, writing for Cointelegraph, making everything in Bitcoin. By that spring or so, I decided, I had some problems with my bank account. I just said, you know what, screw it, and just closed my bank account, went bankless, right? Unbanked, or debanked is the hipster way of saying it, right?
Debanked.
So, yes. Yeah. So, I'm going to live all off of Bitcoin, right? Yeah, this is digital money for the future. Let's see. Let's just actually do it. So I did it. It worked out for a few months, and then transaction times and fees went up, and I remember a few times like trying to transfer Bitcoin to my Bitcoin debit card account, my one wallet there, and taking all day, and I had to like skip lunch because I couldn't pay for it because the transaction never confirmed. And then walking around the mall for like a couple hours because I'm trying to buy a gift card to one of these stores that I wanted to buy something from. And it just would not get one confirmation even, which is what Gift required. And it was a personal hardship for me. And I was like, this is not working. I can't do this anymore. And so philosophically, right, you have the reasons for your actions. And it's like, well, do you just give up? So I decided I wasn't going to give up. I'm going to see, well, what's the next best option that, I'm already in so far. Like, I'm not just going to come back and be like, can I have my bank account back? Just kind of do it that way. So what else is out there? There's, there was Litecoin. There was, I don't know, Zcash wasn't a thing then. There was like a few different things, and Dash was the one that was trying to be retro Bitcoin, basically, from my point of view. The only thing that worked for payments, I was already kind of looking into a few, but so I just said, hey, this is the biggest, most major cryptocurrency that's trying to be used as an everyday cash. I'll try it out. And then by early this year, I was living all off of Dash, and
Nice.
I was just like when when we started a Dash Force News, a Dash exclusive news outlet. I thought, how am I going to write a few articles a day and only cover like how am I going to do this? I had sometimes struggled for topics with Cointelegraph for the whole cryptoverse back then, but it's worked out. I mean, I guess I made the right choice, and
Yeah, definitely.
I didn't know that back then, but I did my best, right?
Yeah, I mean, I like to think that you kind of get the results that you need, maybe not in the short term, but always in the end, if you kind of just like stick through your vision and live it. So it's been like 4 or 5 years then total now that you've been living unbanked or debanked, if we will, for the hipsters.
Yeah, not quite, just like a couple of years.
Okay.
Like a year and a half or so, yeah.
Yeah, okay, sorry. Rushing ahead there. But so when you found Dash and you discovered Dash, I guess for the people watching right now that are not too familiar with it, what would you say makes Dash like the best form of digital money or cryptocurrency, if you will? What makes it so much better than what else is out there?
Yeah, so first, Dash has a long-term scale. First, it has a long-term vision for being digital cash. Bitcoin was just let's experiment with a payment system,
Right?
And then let's kind of keep Bitcoin, and then whatever else you could say. It's still very experimental, which is one thing I loved about it so much.
Mm-hmm.
And Dash is laser focused on being good for adoption, good for actual use, and what that means practically is, first off, they have an instant confirmation function called Instant Send, where you can get a fully confirmed transaction in 1.3 seconds. So whenever you need as a payment system, you can't wait for confirmations, or you can't. Sometimes there might be some cases where zero confirmation just won't cut it, where you can't just broadcast a transaction, just be like, oh, it'll confirm eventually. Well, what if there's something happens and it doesn't? What if there's a double spend? Like, those are still minor concerns right now, but they will become much greater as time goes on. So instant transactions, cheap transactions too, because obviously we've seen fees go through the roof. And one thing recently in the Dash 12.2 update, the fees were reduced tenfold, as they were also in like April or so this year.
Reduced tenfold.
They keep on.
Wow. So Bitcoin
keep
fees
on moving
are going up every single day. I think I try to send. I was going to send like, and it's not bad, right? If you're going to move a lot of money, it's fine. But if you're moving, like $100 or $200, and you've got a $20 to $30 transaction fee, it's just
that's brutal,
madness, right?
I mean, you just send a few bucks. I mean, and I did an article on the fees of cryptocurrencies just today. And the most common typical fee for Litecoin is like $1.30 now.
Really?
So Litecoin's gotten more expensive now. And the most common typical fee for Dash is under a penny.
Wow, under a penny.
So that's not just so much better. It's by design. It's because the team is specifically gearing it towards that. And of course, coming out, this is going to be obviously a whole extra topic, but coming out later this year, later next year, is going to be the Evolution platform, which will hopefully make everything as easy to use as Coinbase or more, but protocol level without trusting a third party. Okay. And the other thing that I really like about Dash is the decentralized autonomous organization that it is, that basically makes it resistant to all these kinds of outside influence.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So I definitely want to talk about Evolution a little bit, because I've heard about that, but I don't know too much about it. So we got some comments. Kayla says, I tried to send $20 and it wanted to charge me $16.
Oh, that's low.
Says
that's cheap.
For $1 USD to Bitcoin is 19 USD. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, Kayla, you got a bargain. I just pretty much stopped using Bitcoin. I still have some, but it just sits there, and I'm probably just going to hold on to it until it's worth whatever crazy amount of money it's going to be worth. And then, move on to better technology.
Yeah, I see what you're saying there, Emily. Should you sell and buy some lower coins? I won't answer that. I will ask you the question of, can you even move it?
Yeah.
I mean, that's the average fee is ridiculous right now. Like, it's going to take a good chunk out of that. So
yeah. And I think we know pretty, clear as day that the vision of Satoshi, whoever Satoshi was, or, if it was multiple people or whatever. The actual white paper was, a peer-to-peer digital cash system, and that's never going to happen with Bitcoin now. I think we could kind of see that based off of the core development team that's working on it, and they're just not really interested in that any longer. So if you are looking for a peer-to-peer cash, you're going to have to get it somewhere else, whether it's Dash or, maybe there's other options coming out, and there'll probably be several that actually, gain traction. Just like today, we have many other options, but I don't think it's going to be Bitcoin. So what do you think about Coinbase and the current uprising? Uprising for what, Bob? What do you mean?
Fake news. No, honestly, I think they got a massive surge of demand, and which caused a couple issues. And I think that there might have been some insider trading going on with a couple of their employees, which is why they launched an investigation. Right. And that's about it. Like, what is this uprising? I think it's a lot of manufactured outrage against a company that's just supporting a competitor to the main Bitcoin. So I honestly think there's nothing behind it.
Yeah, and that's an interesting thought that I was thinking about is like, what could Coinbase or any of these other companies actually do? It's unregulated, and well, obviously there are regulations. Coinbase is a heavily regulated company. They've turned over customer data to the IRS, though they did fight that to their credit. They fought it pretty hard, but in the end, the tax man always wins until they have no access to our money anymore, which maybe we can get there in the future. But, with Coinbase, I would say that how would they have any idea if there actually was an employee doing insider trading, trading off insider information? It's not like on the stock market where you have to register and they can actually see what their employees are doing. Any one of these employees could go and, create a wallet and be trading Bitcoin Cash or any of these other instruments. So what do you think they can actually do about that?
I don't know how much they can actually do other than they can sort of monitor everyone who knows with a hawk eye, like an Orwellian kind of state, which they're not going to be able to do. They're going to have to just tell like nobody, but the rumors will get out and people will massively buy and trade on rumors. And that's the thing about it, this decentralized, distributed peer-to-peer currency. It kind of makes it like, well, what is insider trading? Like, I mean, get that. And
should it be illegal? Should there be a crime to use the knowledge that you have to profit? Should that be a crime?
I mean, I can understand people being mad at you, but it's like crime. Like, nah.
Yeah, definitely. And also an interesting, to comment on that, they definitely handled the situation very poorly because it was obviously they're the biggest exchange out there. They have a lot of pull, they have a lot of traffic, and, their prices are typically higher than other exchanges out there as well. If you're trading on GDAX and using Coinbase. So when they basically just rolled Bitcoin Cash out of nowhere and didn't let anyone know, I think we saw the price spike up to like $11,000 or something very, very briefly, and then fall off a cliff down to like 3,000. So I think with a company in their, with all the attention that they get and everything, handling it like that was very, very poor.
There's always a little bit of a conspiracy theory. Anytime the price crashes, goes really low, Coinbase is offline, and some people are like, they're doing it intentionally so you can't buy the dip.
Right.
But it could be that. I'm more likely to believe it just because everyone's trying to cash out and it just crashes it. But, whatever. You can't prove anything.
So could you talk a bit about what the evolution is? And like, when you say it's like trying to make it as easy as Coinbase, are you saying there's going to be like a fiat on-ramp to right straight into Dash through the Dash community somehow? Or are you still going to need to get Dash from, one of these third-party sources that it seems are getting more and more difficult for people to use? Coinbase and some of these other exchanges. I know Bittrex even shut down completely to new customers for the past week because the demand, they can't keep up with it right now. So what's evolution actually all about?
Yeah, Evolution is going to be a platform built on top of the existing Dash protocol, right? So Dash will still work under the hood just like any other cryptocurrency, but on top there's going to be a surface level platform that you can do all kinds of cool stuff. Very And obviously this is not a publicly released product yet. They've been developing it in a closed repository and will make it open source after release, right? And what it's supposed to do is, first off, make it so that it's not address like long cryptographic addresses back and forth.
That'll be helpful.
Public and private keys. Like that will still be there, but it'll be under the hood. And instead it'll be like a username and password kind of thing and a friending type thing, very similar to PayPal in that regard. But all that'll be stored, all that'll be protocol level, so you won't have to rely on a centralized service or server to store all that, and it could be hacked or compromised. It'll be all distributed on what's known as the Dash drive, which will be an IPFS-based storage system that'll have all that user, et cetera, information. Now, I've had some people say, this has been in production for years with like a dozen developers at least on it, and I've heard some other people in the crypto space who make wallets that do something similar, but obviously it's a third-party service that provides it. They think that this is impossible. Like this can't be done. So which means if it can be done, we win everything. So the first bit is just that nice, clean, easy to use front end that's protocol level. You don't have that anyone can just access. You don't have to be like, oh, are Coinomia's servers syncing? Did they do like it's just for everyone. And then it'll also have a bunch of extra new functionality built in there. For example, the ability to do recurring payments, so you can just set like pay your electricity bill every month automatically. Yeah, you'll be able to have joint accounts with other family members or whatever, all on that. Sort of like now Dash is releasing a version of the Copay wallet that's by BitPay within like a month or so, which is going to be sort of a precursor. It won't be related to the Evolution platform, but it will kind of give that joint account feeling. So there will be some extra functionality like that, and there will be something called the DAPI, or the Decentralized API, where with the Evolution platform, you will be able to make apps and stuff and just plug them right into the platform. So, for example, using the DAPI, like, do you know what the service Uphold is?
Yeah.
So probably one of the easiest ways to get started and just buy cryptocurrency easily.
Yeah, one of my friends has been dealing with the Coinbase nightmare, and he got locked out of his account. And I was trying to help him for like the last few weeks he's just like, I want to buy something and like get back into this. And he went to like Kraken and Gemini and all of them. And I was like, hey man, did you try Uphold? And he's like, holy shit, I got verified in like 5 minutes. And like, he's just happy. Yeah.
So imagine if you can just get your wallet, your just normal wallet, and then you decide, oh, I want to have attach my Uphold account. So you just put your Uphold account in your wallet, so you can just hit buy more Dash, and it just buys it right in there. Or what if you're a weirdo like me who doesn't have banking and all that kind of stuff, and so how else are you going to like buy or sell crypto? You attach your Wall of Coins API, which is like a peer-to-peer decentralized marketplace where you can just do an over-the-counter cash trade and then get crypto for that. And so I have my wallet customized for that, or someone else is like, I don't know, custom like syncs it up with their Bisq client, which is formerly BitSquare or something else like that. What happens if someone wants to do their Coinbase account, link that, a bunch of other stuff? Basically, it's like you will be able to start plugging in just about any service and product imaginable all in there, like attaching to point of sale systems and things like that. I mean, it's pretty mind-boggling just how far this can go.
Yeah, I mean, I think that could be a future PayPal replacement, and maybe even like the POS systems that people use day to day in their retail locations as well. It sounds pretty great, because the important thing from like a vendor's point of view, once they understand how it works, and as this gets better, it's just better money if you can hold on to something and it increases in value over time rather than buys you less and less every day. There's going to be, I think we're already starting to see. Did you read that article from Jeffrey Tucker recently on Fee? He was talking about like how to be a Bitcoin millionaire. It was really good. I don't know. Did you read that?
No, I think I've heard about it, but I
Yeah,
spend there's so little I can read these days because I spend so much time writing stuff that I can
yeah.
barely proofread my own things. So
Yeah. Well, the thing that was interesting about it is he was commenting on how like people in cryptocurrency that have been into it for a while and have made a lot of money or done well by themselves. They all kind of live like they're broke or like like they're homeless almost. They'll do anything they can not to spend crypto, and it's actually kind of changing the culture for, I guess, especially for Americans, because as you know, we've kind of lived this like overextended lifestyle where everything's on credit and no one has any savings. They haven't really built any wealth for themselves. So now we're kind of like reprogramming ourselves to where like, oh, we want this crypto, and we don't want to spend money on anything that we don't need to. We'd rather save it, right? And then because we see it growing more and more and more over time. And I think that that's a pretty interesting point for maybe bringing us back to honest money that can be passed on to our children or to different family
yeah,
members down the line and
just
actually be
imagine
more valuable.
just imagine like today's paradigm where like the rich guy is like the Conor McGregor who just buys a new Lambo every weekend and just makes it rain and all this kind of stuff. And then the money legend is just going to be some pauper who just keeps on like he just makes Instagram videos of sewing his patches into his coat and stuff because he just won't buy a new one. The hodl generation.
That's definitely going to turn into a meme by the time this interview is done, I think.
Yeah.
Could you talk about the DAO and how it works? And I know that there's a lot of new people that come to this group, so a lot of this stuff is very confusing. And I guess I'll point out also to what you're saying about evolution, that we are still so early in this technology, and the fact that it's so difficult. I mean, I got into an ICO the other day, BitDegree, and if you use my Ethereum wallet, if you use Mu, and you get into it. I mean, I've been doing tech stuff for a long time, but it's still very confusing to do this shit. So the average person coming online and wanting to buy into an ICO or even just transact in day to day with the different wallet addresses and having to manage private keys and all that, I think that evolution protocol is obviously something that can help us move forward. The user experience just isn't there. So I've kind of been saying, if there's a company like Amazon or even Facebook, some company that really understands user experience, if they came into the crypto space and did something right now, I think they would just very quickly corner the market. Do you think Dash is trying to do that, like to create a user experience for the average person?
Yeah, well, I mean, you look at Coinbase, because it's obviously we talked about already, but Coinbase went to the top of the App Store because
Right.
everyone is pouring into Coinbase. Everyone's using it. I mean, Litecoin went from, I don't know, it like tripled in value
Yeah.
in like a day just because people couldn't move their Bitcoin or they could move their Ethereum. And that's the next thing, all from Coinbase. It's because there's such a demand. No one wants a thing they can't use. And everyone
Right.
puts Coinbase, it took forever to verify me. Oh, transactions stuck. I can't move it. Oh, the customer support, it's down again. I hate Coinbase, yet I'm still using it. Why?
Yeah.
Because you need something that's user friendly. So absolutely, if you can give people a workaround, especially where they don't have to use just one company, if you could just use the cryptocurrency and it comes out the box like that, I mean, what don't you win?
Yeah, definitely. And so the DAO itself, I know there's probably people watching that don't know what a DAO is. Do you want to explain how it works? And I think, the Dash model is a little bit different than other ones we've seen. If you could kind of explain how the master nodes work. And I guess we can just address the hardcore guys. Of course, this is cryptocurrency, so I like to say that I'm blockchain agnostic. I kind of just whatever technology is working and will improve the ecosystem, I'm all for. But as you see online all the time, there's a lot of people that just are like,
A lot of haters.
all Bitcoin or all whatever, and basically every other technology is a scam, or it's it's evil, or the people behind it are trying to take over the world with their scam or whatever. whatever. So could you point out some of the criticism as well of the masternode system? I know that's a lot in one question, but I'll just let you kind of explain it all.
We'll take little bits at a time. So first, what is a DAO? A DAO is a decentralized autonomous organization. So it has to be some kind of thing that's organized in some way, has some sort of organization, and it's also decentralized, meaning no one person or group of people gets to say who can participate in it. And it has to be autonomous, means it has to run itself without any outside help. So what that means, and that last part is especially important, it means self-funding. So Dash is a DAO in this way. So here's how Bitcoin works, right? Because Bitcoin's just, was the start. And what you have is I hope no one is like taking notes and like, oh my gosh, this guy got it all wrong. But no, I'm really dumbing it down.
You have to, right? It's just like to break down the actual back end and tech side. It's just, I think it's kind of it's a disservice to people that are getting into it, because you start confusing them and then they get turned off and then maybe they never come back.
Yeah. So basically there's miners. Miners run hashing algorithms, and they basically process all the transactions, and they create the new coins, and then they get the new coins by creating them. So they basically implement the code and run the whole network like that. And so they're paid because, they create all the new coins. That part is autonomous. That part of the Bitcoin ecosystem is autonomous. Now, what else do you need for Bitcoin? Well, you might need developers, right? Bitcoin developers are, at least protocol level, they're unpaid. And this leads to all kinds of issues, whether it's maybe not attracting top talent or attracting not enough people able to put their real jobs aside and work full time on this, or in the worst case, some kind of a conflict of interest / takeover, which, I mean, obviously everyone has their own opinions on what's going on with Bitcoin right now, but I don't think it's any stretch of the imagination that Blockstream has employed a bunch of Bitcoin core developers, and they are implementing a vision for Bitcoin that coincides with Blockstream's business model. And that's a complete, that's not making any accusations or making any, is that a good or a bad thing? It is what it is. What happened. Yeah, it is what it is. And so also nodes or any other technology that wants to do second layer solutions or anything else, that's like, for example, how do you scale? A lot of people are saying Lightning networks, there's no money for that. There's no Lightning node thing in the protocol. They have to run a business now. They have to.
So it's not it's not like, so there's obviously scaling problems with Ethereum as well, huge scaling problems. But one of the interesting things about that is, of course, the ICOs and the ability for people that are actually solving problems to basically create their own company and build something on top of it. So we've got Raiden Network right now, which had a great start as far as the ICO and financially, raising money. They haven't put that solution out there yet, but I think what you're saying is a core part. There needs to be an actual monetization plan for the network, and you need to be able to have be able to pay your developers and actually have this be their sole focus if they're going to build something that's worthy of changing the world or capable of providing that kind of solution, and they're just like working on it part-time. I don't really see how that works.
Yeah. So what Dash did differently is, first is there's a special kind of node called a master node, which is a second layer that does some special functions such as instant transactions. So when you send a Dash instant send transaction, the master nodes will lock the inputs, make sure it can't be double spent until it has, I forget how many confirmations. And so they're able to do that because it's a second layer. They also do the trustless mixing called private send, where they connect coins from a few different users and swap them out, so that when you send transactions from this whole jumbled mess and you can't tell who it's from. There have been a few Bitcoin solutions like that called CoinJoin and tumblers and stuff but they've always had some kind of an issue because you had to trust some kind of a third party in some way. And because Dash has a second layer can do that. So Masternodes do a bunch of stuff like that. And because of that, the rewards, like all the fees and the new coins created, that normally with Bitcoin, the miners get everything. With Dash, the miners get half of that and the Masternodes get the other half. And so that incentivizes this extra layer that can do a bunch of all the other stuff you need it to do. All the special features going to be Masternodes. And so, but they're both paid to do that. Now, what makes Masternodes interesting is you can't just spin up a node. You need to prove that you have a collateral of 1,000 Dash to prove that you have skin in the game. I mean, last year was like
1.5 million. Yeah,
last year $7,000, but now a little bit more than that. But hey, it's a crazy world. So at those two, miners and masternodes each get 45% of the block reward, because 10% goes towards this thing called the treasury. It's just out there to be created for whatever the masternodes vote to fund. So, for example, in the early days, it was almost all the development team. They're just like, we tried the Dash Foundation, we tried other kind of stuff. It just didn't work out. We're going to try this new thing. And then so they voted, they put in proposals, which they have a 5 Dash spam filter fee, which back in the day was not very much, and now is a little bit much too. But, victims of our own success, am I right? But so in order to submit a proposal to the network. And so the developer just said, hey, we're Dash developers. We're going to do a great job for you guys. Do you want to give us money? And then the masternodes, if a net 10% of them vote yes, then they get the funding. It just comes straight from the blockchain right into the address supplied. So that was just the developers were able to get funded. And then something happened earlier this year when the price went haywire. Now there was a lot of room in the budget for non-developmental things. And then anyone can just have 5 Dash and just come and say, hey, I have a great idea. And then if they think it's worth being paid, then they get voted in. And so now there's this massive ecosystem building under the Dash network. Now, anything you need Dash to do, for example, what if you say, we need a new something developed that's not part of the Dash ecosystem? Let's say, what if we want to do in like a new mobile wallet or a new decentralized exchange or something like that? And someone says, I want to do it, but I want to get paid. And Dash can just be like, yeah, sure. Here's money from the treasury. Or, what if you need, we need a spokesperson. Okay. We need someone to make YouTube videos all about Dash. And then, which happened, a friend of mine, Amanda V. Johnson, did exactly that. She just said, I'm good. I'm a libertarian YouTube star that has started doing crypto stuff. I won't love Dash. I want to make Dash informational videos. Pay me. And they did. And then she was just working for the network. And it just has grown so much since then. So I'll bring it closed circle for that in that segment. What makes it a decentralized autonomous organization? First off, it's decentralized, meaning no one person controls anything. No group of people can keep participation in the network. So for the test case, every single person right now who is a masternode, who has Dash, could theoretically die or lose their private keys and just it's gone. And then all the miners could get destroyed, and just someone could just start running the Dash client and just start the Dash miner and just start mining those coins again, build up 1,000 for a node, and then start the network again from the ashes, right? And you could wipe out everyone, and the network can still just run. It's
like a World War III situation.
Yes, of course. I mean, unless you literally destroy all knowledge of all copies of the blockchain, and you destroy all copies of the client and the software online anywhere, like unless you just completely ruin everything, it just keeps kicking. And so no one can decide who can and can't participate in the system. Anyone, 5 Dash can apply for a job or funding, and anyone with 1,000 Dash or any 1,000 people with 1 Dash or any collection thereof can just become master and start getting rewards and vote, and no one can stop them. And that's
the really
decentralized.
Yeah. The really cool thing, which you just wrote an article about on Dashforce News last night, I believe, or I saw it last night. And so the monthly operating budget of Dash is like $10 million right now, right?
Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
So yeah, I mean, you're talking about the operating budget of a very large corporation. You could have a $1 million a month marketing budget and basically not even think about think about it. So
Yeah.
what kind of impact do you think that will have going forward? Because I mean, personally, when I see that, and then I see, obviously we're seeing the Bitcoin and Bitcoin Cash debacle and all this different stuff. I think that there's not a lot of like vision in the community. And even we have Ethereum, and Ethereum's kind of Vitalik's vision now, which can be limited in that it's, one guy who I think is just my own personal opinion. I think he's brilliant, obviously, from a technical standpoint, but I also don't think he understands economics. And the problem with Ethereum is that they've basically created, there's two different things acting in one. So you've got the decentralized application layer, which is what Ethereum's actually supposed to be, but you need to spend gas to run your applications. And that means you need to also spend your Ethereum. So it's kind of, I don't think he thought that through too much. And I think obviously if this is going to be what we all want it to be, economic incentives and, understanding how, what makes people do what they do is crucial, right? So how do you think that the $10 million war chest, if you will, and basically having the means to incentivize people to work on the Dash project will move this forward in the future here?
I honestly can't completely say because this is uncharted territory.
Yeah.
We know how like a corporation has to, for one thing, it has centralization and limitations thereof, right? You can't just have any group of shareholders just decide, oh, we're going to fund this, we're going to do that. It's like they have to, there's strict rules. You can have regulations over a corporation. And also corporations have to turn a profit. So they have a massive expense. They have to somehow kick in enough money that counters that expense to a degree where they have something more. So if like the price crashes, they can be in the red, and if the price of Dash crashes, oh man, we only get $1 million a month instead of 10, right? And if the price goes up at all, like imagine if the shares went up in the stock, all of a sudden their disposable income went up by the exact same degree. And just like it snowballs to an incredible degree. And it's pretty funny because last in the November cycle, about 4 million was paid out, and none of that went to the Dash core team, which is like 70 people strong. None of that went to Dash Force, which is the second largest group with like about a dozen or 20 people. I can't remember what we're at right now. Or Dash Labs, which Evan Duffield, the founder of Dash, who left the core team, is now running. None of the three major organizations got any of that money because they were all doing well enough they didn't need to ask. So that's all just the rest of the ecosystem. How big can this thing get? What happens when it's 100 million? And you just like, where does that all go to? What can this pay for? And then at that point, it just starts to envelop everything. And then I don't know. Is it like a Borg type situation? Like we've never been here. Humanity's never been at this stage before.
That's exactly what I was going to ask about. It's kind of funny because I've heard this kind of like sci-fi book or movie, if you will, theory about like, okay, we've created the DAO, and once we bring AI into the mix, which again is not here yet, but in the future, I guess there could be cause for concern that if we created AI and we gave it money, and it could basically, decide globally how to spend this money and like what that means, that there could be a pretty crazy situation in the future with these DAOs, right?
Yeah, of course. And if you think about it, the thing what makes it autonomous is the funding, the self-funding. Right. It doesn't. They don't have a revenue source that then funds it. It is its own money. And start thinking about crazy implications, because I like to go here, and we might have to think about them like next summer. Who knows? But it's like, what happens if the Dash development team has like a large headquarters somewhere, and it becomes a safety concern? And what if like someone puts up towards a proposal being like, I can crew about 5 tanks and a few anti-aircraft batteries around, like, and just, yeah, well, let's fund that, sure. And then that gets funded. And then it's just like, well, what about these other groups? Do we need a defensive force for them? What do we, like, obviously that's getting to a dark place a little bit, but in a later
it's something
spot,
you gotta think about, right?
Yeah, what happens if some group says, hey, I want to make Dash branded wells in every single water star place in the world? Sure, go for it. Oh, I want to make a Dash branded, anything that, before you know it, the whole world starts kind of running around that. There's a group of Dash fans in the town of Cork, Ireland, that have their own masternode, not an individual level, but like a group level.
Community level.
So what? Yeah. So what happens if, like, Luxembourg has its masternode, and they all vote on the interests of the country of Luxembourg on that, and then the citizens all vote on how that node works? What happens? You get a richer country like France that has like a dozen nodes, and then they all vote on how those nodes vote on the upper network and stuff. Like, what happens when this becomes just like evolution is trying to be a platform on top of this basic protocol? What happens if Dash becomes a global finance and governance layer over just about everything? What if everyone's kind of using Dash to, like, run the world, kind of? It could happen.
Yeah. So that's kind of like the long-term vision of it. That's really cool. So what are some of the projects that, because I know one that I was really interested in is the Dash War Chest or War Fund. What is it actually called? Just like budget, or is there a fancy fun name for it?
People call it budget as well, but Treasury is the official one.
So the Dash Treasury, they actually built or they're funding, I'm not sure if it's been completed yet, a blockchain lab, a research lab at Arizona State University, which I thought was really cool. Is that actually complete yet?
I have not checked in on that too much.
Yeah, me either.
It's being done. Another thing that recently got funded at ASU as well is a whole blockchain course where it's being instructed by some people in the Dash core team, etc. And so it's going to be, there's a bunch of stuff going on there too. I think that's going to be really interesting. Most of the research that's been done has been about Bitcoin, and it really helps to have a research about all this other stuff, because, I mean, it's great to have a lot of knowledge on the base layer of basically all cryptocurrency. But now you're starting to get like the decentralized autonomous organization is something massive. And we need research into what the DAO is, what the implications are, what are the weaknesses, what are the strengths, what roadblocks will be hit at some point, how can it be applied to different things, who can copy it in a way, and like there's a lot that can be researched. So that's really exciting too.
Cool. Yeah. And I think if this all goes where we want it to go, like the two of us, I think I'm speaking for both of us, but we got into it for like political reasons. And if we are going to build a better system, then we need to make sure it's actually better, right? We can't fall into a lot of the traps that I think are very easy to fall into with greed, and just emotions that kind of come along with being involved in a project like Dash or any of these other projects that, when you started, it was a small core team, you have a vision, you're trying to do something, but then, these massive amounts of money start flowing in, and, sometimes people's vision gets lost in that. So I think, to your point, we need more research and actual, I guess, academic study done on how this can all work moving forward. What are your thoughts about that coin? Someone's asking about Cardano. Cardano it sounds great, but I don't think they actually have put anything out there yet, right? It's not really, as far as I know, it's not functional.
Yeah, that's kind of what I've heard as well. I don't really know much about it at all, except isn't it a Charles Hoskinson production? Yeah. And I don't know, there's a few coins in the top 10 that are a little bit, like where'd that come from? IOTA is another one that's like really interesting because it's just everything different, but is like pre-alpha even, and it just jumped to the top
Yeah.
pretty much. It just jumped right up there, and I'm like, this could be something amazing someday, but like right now, what is it even? And we're not used to this kind of thing where like that's I suppose that's one of the things that I have to give big props to Bitcoin, as Bitcoin is like this radical experiment that somehow just this bare bones pre-alpha program just managed to have like economies be able to run on it. Like it was so solid that it works as an end product too. And it's
Right.
like, well, I mean, not anymore really, but
If
at
you
the
can get around
beginning,
the fees
I mean,
and the waiting time.
yeah, I mean, in the beginning, that's impressive. And I guess sometimes we're just looking at these other projects and being like, can't you work already? And it's like, dude, that was
Yeah.
just Satoshi. No one else could
Right.
pull that off.
Right, and I think one of the problems is, and I know I saw Amir from Block Geeks post about this a lot. He kind of is I won't say he's like anti ICO, but he's definitely taking people to task pretty often about how much money is being raised and how not a lot's being accomplished. But I think we always see adoption as far as technology goes follow speculation. I think this is actually normal and it's healthy. It's scary, obviously, because you see this amount of money flowing into this market without a lot to show for it. So I can see the argument that, like, have we really earned this? What's actually been built? What's out there functioning today to warrant, a $650 billion market cap? And all these kind of incredible gains. Do you think that speculation is necessary, or is it kind of getting out of hand without so much to show for the technology front of it so far?
It's a little bit of both, definitely. I mean, I definitely think there's a lot of crazy stuff going on there. A lot of people like, oh, no one uses this coin yet. It just massively valued for some reason. There's a little bit of stuff that just gives a little bit of a pause, but I think the speculation is for the most part good, and in Dash's case really good. And let me explain on that a little bit more. So obviously it's good because more attention gets to it. More attention means more people trying to make it work. More people trying to make it work means it breaks. And that means more people are mad at that it breaks, and that means someone will fix it, and eventually it's going to be a really good product. Now with Ethereum in particular, I don't view Ethereum as a smart contract platform, as it were. I view it as a research program because there's just all this money going into Ethereum and all these things being built on its blockchain that probably would never be sustainable, right? In terms of like a lot of the fees that are associated with running these things, and then just you got cats that just took it over, and it's like all this fun stuff. But there's so much money that got raised by Ethereum, all its ICOs, and it's all like there's all this development and experimentation, cool stuff happening. It's like you just solved how you fund R&D. You don't need corporate R&D. You don't need government R&D. You just make an Ethereum. You got all the R&D you need. And with Dash, the speculation really helps in a few ways. First off, the higher the price goes, all of a sudden you can just build out this massive sprawling ecosystem, like I already mentioned. Also, the more money, the more a masternode is worth, and the more monthly rewards. I mean, they get 10 grand a month in Dash right now. So the more there's money in masternodes, first off, it's harder to get one, which means the network is more Sybil resistant. You have to sink incredible amounts of money to have any kind of impact, and even then you just drive up the price and make your enemies rich. And also, if they're paid enough, like people keep saying, oh, their masternodes are going to get so high, people are going to start selling them out. It's going to crash the price. Why would you sell this thing that kicks you 10 grand a month for life, and it's going to keep kicking you more as the price comes up? So that's going to make the network incredibly solid in that way. So in Dash's case, because of the DAO, the self-funding aspect of it, it just gets stronger and a better product and network. The more money, more speculation happens. So, I like it. It's not just we hold Dash and we get rich kind of thing. It's like the technology aspect of Dash gets rich with the value.
Right. Yeah, that's very cool. I do think, unfortunately, a lot of people coming into this space think that, it just is how you just described it. Like, oh, I just buy this thing and just like hold on to it and get rich. And obviously, that's not the best economic incentive, nor is it really reality for most people. But I've seen some interesting things. Like I know Dragon Chain is doing something pretty interesting. It's called like what did they call it? It's basically like they're incentivizing people to hold on to their dragon coin, or I think it's just called dragons. But there's different like incentivized, because we're seeing a lot of these ICOs come out, and of course everybody's just looking for like a 10 or 20x gain, and then they're just going to dump on the market immediately. And then the problem with that is, of course, that if there is enough of a crash on the price and news spreads very fast, people lose confidence, then the ability for the team to actually deliver on their product is kind of gone, right? I mean, if all of a sudden you raise all this money and then no one wants to touch your token anymore, even though the token probably wasn't supposed to exist as a currency or to be traded as an asset, people are going to do it anyways, right? So
yeah, well, that's the good thing about Dash's masternodes is now 2/3 of the coin supply are paid hodlers. They're just paid to just hold on to that stuff and not dump it on the market. And that's why obviously nothing's perfect, but if you look at the markets, if you check out what happens with Dash, is it goes up and then just stops, goes up and then just stops. I mean, there's might be little corrections, but there aren't these massive dumps you see in other coins because it goes up and then people just don't sell. They buy more nodes. They just hold on, weather a storm, because you don't lose money if it goes down. You just keep getting those recurring extra Dash, right?
Right. You still have the same Dash more every month.
Yeah, and that's why there's a bunch of coins that are implementing similar circumstances. Like I know PivX is one of the bigger Dash clones. Zencash, Smart Cash. There's a few people, obviously don't want to get too many shout outs to competitors, but I'm just saying there's a lot of people who sort of, it doesn't need to be like a specific, like a Dash specific kind of thing. I mean, miners are incentivized to run the network and any proof of stake coin is also in a way incentivized to just hold on. Yeah. And so, this is a good experimentation of economic incentives for doing something that would be good for a coin, right?
Right, definitely. And if you guys have any questions on the live stream here, you can start typing them in and we'll see if we can get your questions answered. Try to keep them Dash specific, because I know I don't want to go and give you, I don't think either one of us are going to start giving you opinions on these different coins and stuff right now, but try to keep it Dash specific
yes. Or at least top 10 specific and top 10 that have been there for maybe a year, something that I might know about.
Competitors. Can you review the incentive from Dash? So I think Emily is referring to how the DAO gets funded. I guess you can just do a quick summary again.
Yeah. So miners get mining rewards. Masternodes who prove that they have 1,000 Dash and keep a node active. And by the way, if their node goes offline, they get kicked to the back of the payment queue, so they lose money if their node isn't running.
So if they drop under 1,000 Dash, it's just like instantly they've lost their.
That's just like they have to prove they have that, but also they have to keep the node running, the actual node running. And if they have like bandwidth problems, if they have hardware problems that goes offline, they get kicked they don't upgrade their software, they get kicked to the back of the payment queue, and then they just don't get the money. They have to bring the nodes back online. And then the treasury is just 10% of the new coins created every month are available to whoever the masternodes decide to vote to give them to.
Perfect. So, and then, that's funding that it can be used for anything. And I think I don't know if this was true, but I saw kind of like the Dash team or somebody just kind of trolling people on Reddit about a Super Bowl commercial. People were trying to raise money for a Bitcoin Super Bowl commercial. And
one of my favorite people in the world is Dash's founder, Evan Duffield, obviously for reasons, because he obviously created Dash. And sort of the story behind that is I think from what I hear, he went to the Bitcoin core developers back in the day and said, hey, Bitcoin's great. I love it. There's some privacy problems. I'd like to join you and help you out. And they just told him no. And so he said, I'll make a coin that that I could do what I want with, and just one thing after another. But he's a little bit of a like the what do they call the idiot savant or whatever. He's like a brilliant genius who sometimes just is not on planet Earth all the time. He's thinking about other stuff.
A lot of those guys around.
Yeah, he just disappeared from Reddit for like 4 months, and then he just comes back and just pokes around in the Bitcoin subreddit, and he just sees someone saying something about a second of Super Bowl airtime is like $167,000 or something. Mm-hmm. If everyone in this subreddit pitched in $1, we could get 2 seconds of Super airtime that would just say buy Bitcoin. And so Evan just looking at it, and he just comments, Dash can afford this. And he just disappears for another few days. It's just like, for me, it's hilarious, but also Dash could afford that every month and have plenty of funds left over. So I see up there, if you don't, is it okay if I just sort of take the questions? When will the last Dash be mined? Can anyone with the right hardware mine Dash? So when will the last Dash be mined? It's something crazy like 2150 or something like that. I don't think there's a hard cap on the Dash supply. However, because of diminishing rewards, there's a realistic hard cap of about 18 million. And isn't Bitcoin's 21 million? So Dash is slightly fewer.
So I actually didn't know that. I thought it's 7 million is what you say for the max supply, but there will be obviously inflation on a capped basis after we
7 point whatever is what it is right now, but it eventually get up to 18 million. So right around when, I don't know, maybe probably after when Bitcoin gets to 21, it's somewhere like that.
If the world's still around, right?
So it'll keep going. Probably most of it will be mined by 50 years from now, I guess.
Okay.
But anyone with the right hardware can mine Dash. Yeah, just like Bitcoin, anyone can mine. Dash has the X11 hashing algorithm, which means, wasn't it Bitcoin SHA-256? Am I remembering that right?
I'm pretty sure. Litecoin is definitely. So it should be the same. Yeah.
So Dash has a specific mining algorithm called X11, which has 11 different algorithms you have to solve. So it's supposed to be very ASIC resistant. However, so basically anyone can mine from their computer, but it won't get you very far because here comes China, right? Bitmain produced the Antminer D3, which is an incredibly efficient Dash-specific miner that they flooded the market with now. And even if you're running one of those, even at today's very nice prices, you probably won't be making too much money right now. It'll have to wait until the price goes even higher because there's very stiff competition for Dash mining. It used to be the most profitable coin to mine until that. And I believe Dash is like somewhere around 2-3 petahashes right now. And I think only Bitcoin and Bitcoin Cash have passed the petahash barrier. I mean, they're into thousands of petahashes, whatever you call it.
And that was pretty recently that it got very, very difficult. The difficulty rose significantly on Dash over, I think it was like just a couple months ago, right?
Yes. And the interesting thing is one thing that Evan Duffield's doing with Dash Labs is he's doing long-term future research on how to scale to insane levels. And part of it is he's developing or will soon start to do research into developing custom open source hardware specifically to run Dash masternodes. Right now, anyone can kind of, get it in a good $20 a month VPS service or something. Yeah. But at some point, you're going to need basically like a data cluster,
you'll need your own data
to run
center.
Each node.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, any other questions popping up?
So what would you guys tell a person that soon will invest in a coin? Why should I go for Dash? Well, I mean, first off, I don't think either one of us wants to tell you what to do and invest your, I'm not going to tell you where to invest your money. Do your own research, obviously, but I think, Joel could speak to the reasons why Dash is a superior product to other products that are out there, right?
Yeah, or I can just speak to my own personal motivations.
Yeah.
The reason I decided to pursue working for Dash and earning Dash and spending Dash and all that is because I think it's the best money out there, right? In terms of you can send it to anyone, anywhere in the world, really cheap. It goes up in value. It's completely decentralized. It can be completely anonymous, completely untraceable, and it just like it works as a payment system, right? And the big thing is also the long game, because Bitcoin used to be a lot of those things, but then the vision got, I don't know, the vision got tainted, or I'm not even saying the vision got tainted because things got bad because Bitcoin didn't change, not because it didn't change.
Right.
It changed because it didn't. And Dash has a specific vision to be the payment system of the world, and a very specific roadmap and a whole lot of funding and the best minds in the world working on that. And I mean, you think about all these different coins and investments, they're like, they have sometimes general use cases, sometimes very specific ones, a lot of them very viable. Like this is going to be something that's going to be very big in the world soon. But what is bigger than just everyday money that everyone uses? Like that is, if you can crack that market, you can win everything. And I don't really see another coin that's going for it seriously.
Yeah, right.
I see Bitcoin Cash as it, no slight or disrespect to Bitcoin Cash at all. I see it as trying to recapture Bitcoin's former glory, or trying to just be a better Bitcoin, but not that like, who's your grandma? Can you use this? Can this work for everyone? Like just that laser focus on being everyone's, like, I don't see anyone else who's competing. Not, oh, Dash is doing better at that. Like no one's trying. Only Dash seems to really be trying at this point. So that's why I'm in Dash.
Cool. What price do you see Dash in the near future? Could it surpass Bitcoin? Can it be nullified by a newer tech coming up?
Yeah. So let's answer it backwards, right? Can it be nullified by a newer tech coming up? Absolutely. Anything can be. The thing is, the reason is Bitcoin has been supplanted technologically by so many coins over the last several years.
Several times over.
Yeah, several times over in some cases, except Bitcoin still is number one because of its network effect. It's a network. Right. It's not just a tool. It's a tool that uses people. It uses people and usage and stuff, and that's where it gains its power, not just by running the code. Right. So someone would have to pass Dash's adoption, pass its network effects in order to pass it even with superior technology. However, with Dash, it's even crazier because Bitcoin doesn't have a budget. Bitcoin doesn't have a cohesive community that can just vote for stuff. It's not a decentralized autonomous organization. How are you going to get another coin out of nowhere and just start having 10 million recurring budget every month and more? Like, how are you going to catch up? It is possible, right? And I'm not writing anything off, but it's just difficult. It's so difficult. Can it surpass Bitcoin? Well, absolutely, for nothing other than Bitcoin is a drop in the financial bucket of the world right now. Yes. All of crypto, it's not even $1 trillion. I mean, the government sneezes and they lose $1 trillion. Yeah. I mean, come on.
Yeah, the banks, they throw $10 trillion around in like single trades on, these hedge funds. Day to day, they're moving $10 billion themselves.
Yes. Yeah. So this whole crypto has so much upside, and of course, anything can surpass Bitcoin at that point. I think that should be a no-brainer in time. In fact, it depends on it. There could be some big wild cards that come in there, but it seems like you've seen Bitcoin's dominance was like 85% of the market at the beginning of the year, and then it dipped to an all-time low of 37%, and now is like 47% or something. I didn't check it lately, but
right around there,
it's been kind of declining again. And for example, Dash's price right now, or yesterday, or whenever it was 1600 was the price that Bitcoin was at 7 months ago.
Yeah.
So can it get to where Bitcoin was? It's already where Bitcoin is 7 months ago. And about a couple weeks before that, it was the price of where Bitcoin was 15 months ago. So I don't know that timeline. I don't know. Yeah, anything can happen. Sure.
Yeah. And I think that, one of the interesting things that I've thought about is we know the network effect is very powerful, right? But because it is still so new and most people don't even know how this stuff works, does Bitcoin really actually have this network effect that's, unbeatable? Because really, as far as I'm concerned, all it takes for this kind of technology, it doesn't really matter what the base level protocol is or what the currency is. It just somebody needs to make it usable for the average person. So as soon as someone does that, whether it's Dash or someone else, that is very quickly going to surpass everything else. Because that's going to be the actual like black swan moment where you get a real massive network effect. Because we do have Bitcoin and it has the network effect now. But to your point that you spoke about, the network effect is in our community, right? It's with early adopters. So it wouldn't be very difficult for Dash or whoever else to create a product that the everyday non-crypto user could get on, and then Bitcoin's network effects could very quickly disappear.
Yes, and I actually have a scenario that's going to be coming up very soon that could work for that. So who uses Bitcoin for their day-to-day transactions? I obviously it's only usable for massive amounts now, but like it's a lot of like moving large wealth, speculation, whatever.
Pretty much all the transactions are based off of trading. There's no one using Bitcoin as money, and that's pretty obvious if you follow what's going on.
Now think about this: the legal cannabis industry in the United States, even though it's legal, they are unable to get banks because the FDIC just won't let them have big business bank accounts. So they need to spend 30% on cash handling fees for being cash only business. Now, there's this company called Alt36, which signed a 36-month exclusivity agreement with Dash. It's a point of sale system that by utilizing Dash will allow cannabis businesses to accept it and cut that 30% fee down to 1%. So think about it. If you're a cannabis business, if you take Dash payments, you only need 1% to convert it to cash in your bank instead of the 30% of cash handling fees. That means you can give people a 15% discount to pay with Dash, and you still make 15% of over your cash.
Oh yeah, so there's
that's coming out in just a few months.
Cool. And there's that Dash Pay website already, right? Or not Dash Pay, but there's a site where you can get gift cards and use all kinds of different things with Dash already. Right? Okay.
Yeah. So if you just think about it, the illegal cannabis industry in the U.S. is massive, and they're losing 30% on all their cash. Now, what happens if that 30% goes down to 15% because they're giving a 15% discount to people who use Dash? Who's not going to want to get Dash if they can save 15% on their weed? And then eventually it becomes wide enough, and then they don't need to have that discount anymore. This is going to be huge. All of a sudden, wow, people have said that cryptocurrency is a solution in search of a problem. Yes. And here is a problem that can be solved and will be solved within just a few months. So you don't have to wait long to see how are you going to get to that mass adoption. Well, TikTok.
Yeah, and I think also one thing, especially in that industry, is since it is cash, that everybody knows is cash focused, and obviously they've got a lot of cash on hand, it's very dangerous to run one of these businesses as well, because people know, they need armed guards at these dispensaries, and there's robberies all the time because people know that they've got, tens of thousands of dollars in cash sometimes just sitting in their stores. So I think obviously for safety reasons as well, we want to get away from that cash only model for those businesses. That's a long question, and it's actually covering your face. So I'll just
I can sort of read it. When do you think something like Dash will be widely usable? June, July, August, somewhere in there. It seems at this point that every coin claims have all these amazing transaction times, great tech and teams, but I think Newegg is the only place you can actually spend these coins, or I think Newegg is only Bitcoin, right?
And Steam just got rid of Bitcoin, and they switched to Litecoin because the fees got so high that Steam won't touch Bitcoin anymore. So they switched to Litecoin. Yeah.
What's the time frame for these to be used as actual currency look like, as opposed to people just investing and hodling with hopes of becoming the next crypto billionaire?
All right.
Next year, so first off, the network effects of cryptocurrency are really kicking into high gear now. Everyone wants them. Everyone wants to use it. Everyone wants to. People are still adding Bitcoin to the payment option places, even though it frankly doesn't work.
I don't know. Who's gonna? I mean, no one's gonna spend their Bitcoin. Period. On like, if you're gonna buy like a book off Amazon, now your book is like double the price, and you have to lose out on future gains from holding on to that Bitcoin.
Yeah, if Bitcoin had kept on working the way it did in the beginning, we'd probably already be there. But the only coin that anyone cared about that was being used anywhere just kind of ground to a halt. And now you got Bitcoin Cash, which is trying to catch up. And then you got Dash. And I think that now is the time when there's enough interest, there's enough knowledge that Bitcoin isn't everything, that next year, I think you're going to be able to spend a lot of places. So I've been keeping track, right? DiscoverDash.com lists 556 Dash accepting businesses around the world. And that number just grows all the time. Do we think we'll be at 1,500, 10,000 at the end of next year? I don't know. We'll see. It could start growing and growing and growing. All it takes is some integration to a couple of good point of sale systems, and then just say to anyone, hey, I want to pay with this digital cash stuff for my coffee. Just, can you go and check that box on your back end? Okay, bam, it's done. And then I'm just saying, it's growing all over the place. There was a conference in Venezuela just a week or so ago, a Dash conference that had over 600 people in it. And so this stuff is getting all over the place. This is you never really see it until it explodes.
Right. It's kind of like you only see it in hindsight, right? But all those moments that led up to it, and then it's just kind of like the snowball effect where everything just starts kind of piling up all at once. Fabian says, thank you very much. Is there any specific ways I can learn how to read the market better? Of course, following is key, but if you have some tips, it's appreciated. If you're talking about like reading,
why don't you go for this one first?
Yeah, I mean, you're talking about reading the market. I mean, the really important thing to notice is, or to pay attention to, is I've never seen any market before that is so based on like hype, right? As cryptocurrency is right now. And I think that goes to speak to the fact that we, a lot of the people that are into this were kind of like, internet nerds, and they grew up on forums and message boards, and information spreads very fast on Reddit or Twitter, and and these different like Telegram groups and stuff. So I would say there's kind of a double-edged sword there. You need to be out there and paying attention to the news, because if you can get ahead of the news, you can profit and do well for yourselves. But that's a double-edged sword, because a lot of the times that news is not true. They're posting rumors about like, this coin's going to do this and that, and people are going to get burned in it. So I would say be careful with that. And then if you're talking about trading, obviously learn how to do technical analysis. And you can go to Investopedia, and they have a great just like introductory course about how to read charts and all that kind of stuff. If you're talking specifically about Dash, maybe you could touch on that.
Yeah, I could give some from a Dash context.
Yeah, where it's like, what is the best part to learn about Dash?
Yeah, so obviously with trading and stuff, you never know what the market's going to do.
Yeah,
you
educating guess at best.
Yeah, there are some ways. I mean, I'm not a trader, so I wouldn't be able to really listen to on this, except when when everything is like through the moon, it might be a good time to like cash out 50% of what you got and like put it into other stuff, for example.
Right.
Take half your gains. There's some highly complicated trading strategies that people have, like a rule book. Like if it goes up this much, you put half into your principal and put half into the rest of the stuff, all that kind of stuff. And I'm sure you can look that stuff up. Generally, when it's high, you want to diversify your gains a little bit. And anything that's red, that's like deep in the red, as long as it's not a terrible project that you think is going to crash, buy it when it's low. And then sell it when it's high. Just do that flip back and forth. The other thing is that's a lot of work and research. So like you got to have like almost like a full-time job to get anywhere with that.
Yeah.
What I think is a lot easier, it still requires research, but it's a lot easier is research and long-term holding. So you'd want to look at some of the top projects, actually going deep. Like first off, what are they trying to accomplish? Like first off, think of like a business. what problem are they trying to solve? Like, who's their customer and how are they trying to make them happy? Do they have a good goal? Do they have a top-notch team? Are they well funded? Do they have a vision? What kind of technical problems do they have? How do they respond to that kind of stuff? Are they just like, nah, I don't know, it's just going to go to the moon. We're going to scale. It's going to be no problem. Or do they say like for example, one thing with Zcash in particular is I know that they said like, well, what about quantum computing? They're like, well, when quantum computing gets out there, you will be able to undo Zcash's privacy, and there's nothing we can do about it. So we're looking into solutions of what to do when that happens, but it might be a few years away. I'm like, that's an answer that puts trust in the project. You could say, right. Oh, yeah. These people are not childish and immature. Like, yeah, well, bro, it's not going to work. Yeah. Like they're actually, they acknowledge there's limitations and they're working on it, right? So right. Do some in-depth research into a project and then invest and keep up on that project, and then just it'll go up. Now with Dash in particular, if you have 1.5 million or whatever, you can throw a bunch into a masternode and then you just get paid. You don't have to. That takes all the guesswork out of the market. With that, there are third-party services that do masternode shares. So if you have, I think the minimum is like 20 Dash. So that's like, I don't know, what is it, 30 grand? So if you have 30 grand, you can get one of those and get like a couple $100 a month in Dash. There's other coins that do either proof of stake or they do some kind of, they have lower level masternodes or whatever. I know a few friends of mine have been setting up like Zencash secure nodes or whatever. Look into a little bit of that, but only if you think the project's legit, because otherwise it doesn't matter how high those units go, you'll be losing money. But if you find a project that looks good and will like pay you to keep invested in it, why not give it a shot? Throw a couple grand in there, see what happens.
Yeah. I think for 99% of people out there, it's a much better idea. And I talk about this all the time. Like, just find those good projects, buy them when they're in the red, and just hold on. Don't try to day trade or just like, it's trying to day trade these markets. Most people are going to get wrecked. You're going to lose, and then you're going to have, you're going to be all stressed out and all emotional. It's better just to realize that we are so early on in this technology and the adoption of it. So if you find a project you believe in and back it like you're doing with Dash right now, I don't see how you can lose in the long term. Of course, not financial advice. This could all go to zero. I don't believe that's possible personally, because I'm a believer in technology. So I know that now that this technology is here and it's so much better than what we had before, it's not like the blockchain and all this stuff is just going to disappear. So I think the possibility of that is basically nothing.
Well, yeah, it could all. That's the thing about you got to understand what you're doing. This is radically new technology, and it's just a new financial system, which means that you could be at the start of everything, right? You could be, king of the world, except you could also be completely wrecked. But that's good. This is saying to me, that's a risk I want to take, right? Not because like, what do I need money for? I just need enough to like keep the lights on, and then pay for dinner out once in a while and fix up my car, and then like as long as it just enables me to be doing this for a living, like that's exciting. Like what it goes to zero, and then I'm like, oh shit, I gotta need another job.
Yeah, I gotta get
a job.
I get
another job. I do something else. But some people are. And this is, absolutely not me. And some people listening might be those people who you got like a family and children, and you got a career, and you just cashing out your 401k to like put into crypto and all that kind of stuff. And like, then if the markets go to zero, that could be like, oh, you're in a dead end job when you're like 70 years old. And then your kids had to work extra shifts to get themselves through college, or just whatever, like, that can be a little bit sad. So with radical new technology, don't invest what you can't afford to lose. But also, I don't think, in terms of cryptocurrency, I don't think you can afford to not invest either.
I would agree totally. Yeah.
Fiat currency, the current financial system, can go away. It can go away within a couple of years. Like, you don't know how fast this timeline. This is insanely fast right now. You
Right,
don't
like
know what's going to
month in
happen.
crypto time is like 10 years in the real world, right? We like to joke about it. Is like things move so
Yeah.
fast.
So like the average person, if they have like 10% of their investments in crypto and crypto just gets destroyed, just wrecked, you lose 10%, you're sad, but you're still okay. I mean, depending on
Right.
who it is, right? But if everything else gets destroyed and all you have left is that 10%, that 10% is going to be worth probably at least 10 times what it was, and then you're still okay, or 100 times, and then you're going to be doing okay. So just be in there, because this could be everything.
Hmm. And we know it's not just like some crazy conspiracy theory or like anti-government people that are talking about this. Fiat currency by design always goes to zero. In fact, it goes way below zero, which is where we are with the U.S. dollar right now. Which I have a theory, which some people have kind of pushed back about or laughed about. I actually don't think Bitcoin itself is becoming more valuable. I think the U.S. dollar is approaching hyperinflation levels, where
Yeah.
people are realizing that this is not worth much at all. And now they see like, oh, there's this other option. And as people wake up to this other option and they see like, wow, this thing I could have put $1,000 into at the beginning of the year, and now that $1,000 is $20,000. And what am I getting for my dollar? Because I go back for the holidays every year to visit my family, and the government has really good ways about lying basically about what's going on with the inflationary rate. The rate of inflation, if you aren't aware, they don't cover like food or fuel. What's actually in the inflationary rate that they say is only like 3 or 4% is really all the stuff that's not essential. But the essential living stuff, food, all that kind of stuff is actually going up way more than that. So I think, once people realize there's this other option, we could very quickly see everybody move into this stuff, right?
Oh yeah, and people act like it's a very first world problem to have, where you start thinking about the US dollar, especially, as it's
Yeah.
not going to crash. Like, it's a
Yeah.
theory. Like, I grew up in Mexico in the early 90s, and like the peso collapse. And like,
Right.
I have, my grandmother's old coins that are like completely not worth anything anymore because they have a new peso. Remember, the peso was like 8 and then 10 to the dollar. And now it's like over
Yeah.
20 to the dollar. And it's just like that, you see it before your eyes if you're in a slightly more disadvantaged place. I mean, I went to Romania a little bit, like 10 or so years ago. It was a little bit more than that, but right when they're transitioning from the old lei to the new lei, and they just 100,000 lei note is whacked off the zero, the one lei now.
Yeah.
And just like, whoa. And then euros. And I've been around cafes in France where they just still have the prices listed in euros and francs, because some of the old people
Oh, really?
don't know how to do the conversion, and they're just like, c'est quoi ça? Comment on fait ça? And then just like, and then they just look at it and they see, and it's like, this is, I went to grad school in the UK, there's a whole Brexit thing, and
Yeah.
like, this is such a dynamic world. You don't have to really preach to people in Zimbabwe about fiat collapse. In fact,
Right.
there's a project, the Kuba Cash project in Zimbabwe right now is building to do a cash for Dash gateway to allow Zimbabweans to get Dash and get out of that nightmare that they're in right now. Venezuela is the same thing. There's a project there exactly for that reason, because this isn't just all Alex Jones conspiracy hour, I got all the documents and all this. It's like, this is real life for a lot of people.
Yeah. And the US dollar has actually managed to survive quite a long time. And, obviously that's due to the military dominance and kind of the behind the scenes geopolitical stuff. But in the end, all fiat currencies will go to nothing. It's just by design, right? Because in order to create more money in the system, you have to create more debt. So there is actually no way to ever pay off the debt. And the US government's debt at this point, on paper, what they say is about 17 or 18 trillion dollars. But with unfunded liabilities, it's actually like $300 trillion today. And it grows by like billions of dollars every single day. So I think if you're a realistic person and you understand that, then you know that has to come to an end at some point. All it takes is people just losing faith, And that all unravels very, very quickly. And when that does happen, because the US dollar is the world's reserve currency, and it has been for so long, it's been the world reserve currency for the entire time we've basically had the modern world. So when that happens, cryptocurrencies are I think, going to be the safe haven, right? It's going to be what people turn to and the whole world turns to very, very quickly, I think.
Yeah. And you don't know exactly how close you are. I mean,
yeah.
How many of you are old enough to remember the Soviet Union? I'm sure some of you probably remember that was like, that's going to be what's going to, that's going to be forever. And then all of a sudden, it's gone.
Overnight.
It's gone in a heartbeat. I mean, I have some Romanian friends who are around my age, and they remember growing up, and they remember some songs that they learned about the communist dictator Ceausescu. And they're like, yeah, I remember learning this song in school, and then the next generation just doesn't remember communism. But like, it happened, and it could happen, and it could all fall to the ground. You don't know. The world's a crazy place.
Yeah. And I think it's interesting that, and probably not a coincidence, that Bitcoin was actually released to the world right after the last financial crisis, maybe as kind of a gift to humanity to say, like, look, this shit is going to keep happening over and over again unless we do something about it. And this is a way we actually can do something about it. We don't have to allow money to be controlled by government or a centralized location. We can, as a peer-to-peer society, as a network, determine what the wealth is in this system, and it cannot be altered. Obviously, there's plenty of manipulation in any financial market, but the real point is that you can't create more of it at will when you need to. Sure. When you get yourself in trouble and you have too much debt, you can't just mine more Bitcoin really fast and be like, hey, here's me paying off my debt. Let's see. The hype is crazy. Great analysis. All right. Who else has questions? Oh, yeah. Fabian wants to know, is it possible to follow you on Twitter for more info?
Yes. So my Twitter handle is the Desert Lynx. All one word. The desert is in dry place. Lynx is in bobcat like creature.
Nice. And we'll put that in the notes on this as well. You guys can keep asking more questions. Let me think what other questions I had. I know I had a few more about Dash. So there's the project in Zimbabwe, right? So what other are there other plans for that you know of, or other? Because I think you're 100% right. One of the reasons why there hasn't been a lot of adoption yet is because, as much as we might complain about it, actually banking in the first world countries is very, very simple. You can do internet banking. We've got Venmo now. You can send money to your friends in a second. So for the first world, I don't really like using that term, but for the rich countries or whatever, there's not a real need right now for cryptocurrency. Cryptocurrency is not actually solving a problem for the day-to-day person. Do you see in the poorer developing countries, especially in Africa, with basically no banking system, what do you think can be done on the ground level there, to kind of make a big difference?
Yeah, so right now, obviously, there's the Kuva Cash project in Zimbabwe. In Nigeria, there's two different teams going around promoting Dash and getting in people's hands. That seems like the hot spot for Dash in Africa is northern Ghana, which is a very poor region. I know that there's a few projects going around and evangelizing, and one of them is trying to educate, especially teachers, like public school teachers who don't really make enough to make a living, on how do you invest in Dash so you have a little bit of extra that it goes up, you can still live with the rest of your funds. There's some entrepreneurship schools that are being started with Dash that will encourage people to not only teach high schoolers how to start businesses, how to run a business plan, how to do expenses, all that kind of stuff, but also teach them about Dash and how they can use this to better their circumstances. And there's a lot of people who've done peer-to-peer trades in Ghana. So from what I've heard, there's a massive Dash liquidity problem in Ghana right now because everyone's bought it. And no one wants to sell it because they're just holding on to it because it keeps going up. And it's like, how do we get more? And so they're trying to address that problem. There's another project called Dash Direct, which is it's a charity project. It's not funded by the Dash network at all. It's funded by a couple masternodes.
Okay.
Basically, they've identified 20 or so families living in extreme poverty. They're giving them a basic income in Dash, and they set up a storefront where they can use the Dash then to buy essential goods, right?
Nice.
And they gave them all smartphones. It's kind of like not only a good way of getting just the people that like make, that live on just like a few dollars a month kind of thing, like really, really poor. Not only get them a leg up, but also teach them about technology and get them to use real money, and also build the local economy in the area. So you just get the whole virtuous cycle, the whole ecosystem going. And so I think we're starting to see a lot of this, in Africa, in Venezuela, in places that have severe currency problems. And
right, they have no actual financial market anyways today. There's no banking system. There's really nothing there at all.
Yeah, and they do have some substitutes like mobile money in Africa that they use for mobile minutes and stuff like that, but they also just use it as currency. I mean, people use whatever it is. Like Zimbabwe is a U.S. dollar market, right? Because they functionally have no real currency.
Mm-hmm.
And I know Venezuela, the government is going to mint its own cryptocurrency called the Petro that's supposedly backed by oil or something like that, which I'm very skeptical, of course. But
I'm very skeptical about that as well.
Can you imagine if the U.S. government or, any other major government decided that they just had to start over with their money? They're like, this stuff that y'all have been using, it's just... sorry, it kind of sucks. We need to do another thing. It's like, can you imagine that? The trust that would erode. I mean, it's pretty terrible. But back to the original point. Yes, where people are not being served by the current system is where you will find the real use case. And just like in the United States, because of ridiculous federal restrictions on the drug trade, right, even though locally they might not be, it's that weird, confusing situation has a lot of people that have a need that's not being fulfilled by the current financial system, and they will look for alternatives, and Dash will be there for them.
Nice. So what do you think as of today is like the biggest problem with cryptocurrencies or in this space right now? And how do you think, do you have like an idea or like a vision of how you would solve that?
Let me see. The biggest problem,
it's a lot in one question.
The biggest problem is real use, and Dash's evolution platform should solve that. I'm trying to like unsoftball that question. Try to get it difficult. What do I see? Maybe not like right now, but in the future, what do I see is one of the bigger problems with cryptocurrency? Okay, so for one thing, for right now, and I think Ethereum is a great example of this, and Bitcoin to a lesser extent, is unintended consequences. This is the free market, right? In its very purest form. It's not even a company. This is like a thing that anyone can run and do stuff with. You can't tell them no.
Right.
And
some people might say is necessary.
Yeah, some people might say Ethereum is like, it's centralized and stuff, and yeah, but you can anyone can use it still, and like no one. People thought, do you remember the peak Ethereum hype days when everyone's like, oh, it's going to run everything. It's going to calculate. It's going to automatically take your car to fuel it up through a smart contract based on the price of gas and the whatever, or you're going to have a thing that's going to everything's going to be smart contracts.
The vision there early on is it's so not crazy up with reality.
And then it was just like ICO, just like the Ethereum became just nothing but an ICO machine for a while. And then after that died down, it's like, okay, what other world problem we're going to solve? Oh, cats. We're going to solve cats. We're going to have a bunch of cats. And then that just happens. And I think that the cats are great because they test stuff out a lot. They really stress test the network. But I cannot imagine that was an intended consequence of Ethereum. People didn't mean it to just be that. What did people mean for Bitcoin to be? Peer-to-peer digital cash. What did it end up being? Kind of like a store value speculation kind of thing, kind of like a digital gold / hyper stock. And what do you like? Go down the list. What do you expect Dogecoin to be? Well, fun money you just send here and there. Dogecoin has some pretty good volume right now. It's got still like 16 to 20,000 transactions a day still. Yeah. Where is all that going? Is it faucets? Some people say that it might be used to transfer money from exchanges. So if you got Bitcoin on exchange A and you want to get it to exchange B, what you're going to do, you can't just withdraw it and pay all the ridiculous transaction fees and the times. You're going to swap it for Doge on that exchange because it's all off chain. You don't have to actually send it. You just swap it on the exchange, move the Doge to the next one and rebuy the Bitcoin. And then you got it like that. And so who can guess what these things are used for? Right now, there's a whole lot of crazy speculation. Like, what is IOTA doing? It's supposed to power a bunch of, corporations and machines and things like that. It's supposed to do a bunch of weird, cool stuff. But right now, it's just making people filthy rich.
Right.
Getting past that law of unintended consequences, getting past the next crazy hype thing, and just getting this to be used for something. That's the biggest hurdle right now. And I think the only way you can do that is by having a strong vision, making sure the thing works for that, and then pushing that hard.
Right. So
and time. Wait for it all to blow over.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think the unintended consequences is definitely an interesting part of, you have, it starts off early with the vision of the developers and they kind of have this idea in mind, but once it does go out to the free market and anybody's, can do what they want with it, you start to get all these things that happen that were never intended, and you don't really, the solutions to those problems weren't thought about in advance. So I think Ethereum is the perfect example right now. And I think, like, to your point, the CryptoKitties thing is actually really great as well, because it's kind of just making it very clear that, hey, this is not ready. The vision of Ethereum is not there. And, I think a lot of people in the space right now are just way too early. They want to build like the Uber of the blockchain or like Facebook on the blockchain. But it's like, the reality is right now, for most businesses, it's actually a negative thing to use the blockchain. Like, it would actually harm your business because you would be hampered by these very high fees, very slow transaction times, and some unintended consequences as well, where if you built something on Ethereum, we've already seen a fork happen, right? So what if you build out an application and you spend all this time and money developing it, and then someone just forks the network? Like, what does that mean for your project? So there's a lot of things like that, to your point, need to be solved, I think, before people are going to put like all of their faith into this kind of a system.
Yeah. Another example just out of the gate is IOTA, right? You're trying to do this whole Tangle system and having no fees because you got to confirm 2 previous transactions to send one to your own, all this kind of stuff. But it's still, even though there's some centralized elements, it's still technically a decentralized network. So you can't just stop someone from doing stuff or identify who that is. So what happened is someone just started sending out all these the coordinator, I guess, helps run the network right now, but someone was sending a bunch of spam transactions with a message that says coordinator sucks, and just ground the whole thing to a halt, just spamming the what out of the network. And like, with a payment system that's centrally controlled, you can just say, that guy shut him out. But it's a decentralized network, and then he's just doing his thing, and it stops. And what do you do if, like, your factory runs on information distributed across the IOTA network, and then all of a sudden someone just says, like, I love to bring things to the ground, or just some stupid message like that, and just spams the crap out of it, or whatever other threat can be done, DDoS, and then it just all goes down. And without that centralized control, how do you make it work? And that's the thing, is the point of this technology is it's not centralized. It's the point, and it's also its weakness. I mean, what happens if Bitcoin decides, the Bitcoin community decides they want to do something else? Well, that's kind of what happened. What happens when the Bitcoin community decides, half of them decide they want to do this? Well, then 2 Bitcoins. Mm-hmm. What happens when someone decides They want more than 2 Bitcoins, 3 Bitcoins, 4 Bitcoins. It's like
there's like 100 already.
Street. How many you're going to count?
Bitcoin unicorn, Bitcoin. I don't even know. There's like I leave some of my coins on an exchange that I trade with, and then I come back on the exchange and I've got like all these coins, and like, I don't even know what this shit is. Like, where did this even come from?
More coins.
We'll touch. There's another question here, but I think that's a really good point. And actually, I know there's EOS. EOS does this, and Neo is doing this as well. Neo has gotten some criticism for being very centralized. And actually, to their credit, they have come out and said that they know that's a problem, and they agree that they're too centralized because there's only 13 nodes right now, and they've basically been handpicked by the core developers. So that's a problem, but there's another side of that, which is that Neo and EOS, these companies are using distributed proof of stake models, which I think is really interesting because basically it's like a Congress, right? And you can solve the transaction time issue because you only may need, like 10% of the nodes to validate a transaction rather than like the 66% you need in Ethereum, for example. And these guys have basically been delegated the ability to run the transactions, and you just kind of like vote for this one node. And the interesting part about that is it can't be forked. There's no way to fork a system like that. And I think as we move forward, especially you talking about companies with their own private IP and building their own systems, I don't think the use case for Ethereum is ever going to be there because of this specific issue. If you can just fork if you could just fork and then take this IP and basically it could just move somewhere else, that's scary for a corporation, right? Like an actual real world company that has invested, maybe hundreds of millions of dollars into research and development, and they have patents and they've got their IP. I think that's something that is very, very scary for them to think about.
Yeah, well, it's interesting because the Dash core team is working on a legal trust and all kinds of stuff forward thinking on that, and I believe they will be filing a whole bunch of defensive patents, which will not have anything to do with preventing people from using technology, but we prevent them from being patented and stolen by someone else, right? Patent trolling. So just to keep it free. And that is an interesting thing to think about. The whole point, and that's why I love the concept of the DAO so much, is because even not the DAO, just what these decentralized systems that aren't even organizations or autonomous, it changes the game. Before it was like, a bank has to issue the money, right? Or some mine has to go and mine all this gold, and you still need like a whole thing going on, and the bank issues the money and does all that stuff. And now you have Bitcoin. It's like, what bank? It's just this thing. It's just completely decentralized. And then it's like, what about research and development? Well, you have to have nonprofit, a government grant. You got to have a massive corporation putting all this money in, or you can just have Ethereum that just is like an ICO machine to the 10th level, and everyone just researching and running all these smart contracts all over the place. Infinite R&D machine. And then you got, well, what about a nonprofit, or what about an organization? And then Dash's DAO, I mean, that's pretty incredible too. Eventually, all these problems won't exist to a certain extent because the entities considering them to be a problem won't exist. It's going to be interesting. Well, I mean, it doesn't mean that there will be a whole spamming the network and scalability. Like, what corporation thinks about that? They just think, am I making enough money to build this thing bigger to make even more money? That's all they have to think about, really. But then this thing, like, who's going to use it without our permissions? Like, no one. You just sue them and they stop. But who is going to sue on behalf of the Bitcoin network? Although there have been some talk from some of the core developers about suing people trying to fork it off or whatever. But
oh, really? I hadn't heard about that. That would be pretty funny.
That's a different in-depth conversation altogether.
This one, Melissa says, not sure if this has already been addressed. I have read on various forums that Dash is actually less private or anonymous than Bitcoin. Could you do a quick comparison on anonymity and privacy for Dash versus Bitcoin? And yeah, this is something I did want to touch on because you see, like we kind of briefly discussed earlier, there's all these people that just really like hate other projects that are not their projects. So you'll see like the Monero, some of the Monero guys, they're like, oh, Dash is not really private and this and that. It was pre-mined. I remember that argument where people used to like anything that was pre-mined was a scam, but now obviously with ICOs, everything is pre-mined. So it's just kind of, it became normal, right?
Yeah.
So what did you say about the actual security and privacy of Dash?
Yeah. So first off, someone saying it's less than Bitcoin is one of the most absurd things I've ever heard. And so obviously, Melissa, I'm sorry you've been talking to some haters, but it's because Dash fundamentally works exactly like Bitcoin, Litecoin, all these other things. It's an open distributed ledger. All the transactions are public. It just goes just like that. And also, just like Bitcoin, it has HD wallets, which are hierarchical deterministic, which basically just means you got a whole bunch of addresses. You can send from a new address every time. You can receive to a new address every time. So it already has that as a base layer. So obviously less than Bitcoin, absolutely not. More than Bitcoin, absolutely, because Dash's private send technology, here's how it works, right? Masternodes, think of it like you got a guy in a dark room behind the table, right? 3 hands go in and put in $20 each on the table, and a $10 bill, a $5 bill, and 4 ones and a bunch of coins. And then he just mixes it all together, and then he mixes it all together, puts it back into a $20 denomination, and hands it to one person, hands it to the next person, hands it to the next person. And then, okay, next comes around. No one sees who anyone is. They keep their funds, but they all get mixed up. That's 1 round of mixing. You can go up to 8 with Dash right now. And when you send it, it comes from a big long string of addresses. And it's like, where does that come from? No one can tell.
Where is that?
And so it is it's completely anonymous. In fact, I think there's at least a 15 grand bounty on breaking one of those transactions, right? There's a big bounty. It hasn't been done in the 3 years that Dash has existed. And so for one thing, it's just completely unbroken. There are a bunch of theoretical things about cluster intersection attacks, where if you have too many of the same identifiable inputs across the network, it's just in the same pattern. They can kind of figure out a pattern. Right now, everything that's been discovered on that is on completely theoretical stuff that has nothing to do with any real transactions that exist, right? Basically, Dash is completely anonymous. Its privacy has never been broken. There's a lot of haters that want to say that it is, and prove it. I mean, it's easy to prove. There's an open challenge out there to do it, and of course, over time, Dash's privacy is going to become better and better with that. Now, it's an interesting thing. There's this concept called fungibility, which you hear bandied around a whole lot. Basically means with money, 1 unit of money is the same as another equal unit of money. You got 1 Dash, another Dash is worth the same, right?
Exactly.
It's not just worth the same, but has like the same value of history. Bitcoin does not have this. For example, if someone had Satoshi's hoard, one of those Bitcoins got sent out of that, that I would bet someone would pay more than the market value for that history on Bitcoin, right?
And also there'd be like probably there would be mass chaos in the market if even one of Satoshi's Bitcoins ever left his wallet. I don't even know what the ramifications of that would be, right?
Yeah, all it would have is an address to a URL of a picture of Craig Wright smirking. But that's beside the point. So what happens with Dash is, because it's all mixed, every time you mix the coins, the transaction history is basically erased. It just comes from nowhere. Right. Now it's completely fungible again. And of course, if you don't mix it, then you can start to build a little bit of a history behind it. But then every mixing event, you erase the history. Now, even if you don't mix yourself, someone somewhere has mixed. Every time you mix, you make the overall coin supply more fungible for the entire Dash network, right? And so it has this cumulative fungibility effect. Now, a lot of people, say that encrypted private coins are fungible, and it's not exactly the same thing. So for example, say you have a coin that has completely encrypted transactions that you can't see the blockchain at all. It's just those transactions still have the point A to point B, that they still have the exact same trail as a Bitcoin transaction. They're just hidden from public view. So what you need to do is, as soon as quantum computing becomes advanced enough, you can break that encryption and then expose it all for exactly as opaque, exactly as transparent as Bitcoin is. Right. Now, of course, the challenge with that, of course, you always have to stay a step ahead of the technology, but all those past transactions will be retroactively de-anonymized. And it's kind of a fake fungibility. Whereas with Dash, all the information is there. You can see everything on the blockchain. It goes here, goes there, goes everywhere. But what sense can you make out of it? That's the real point.
Yeah, and we know today that the what is it? The Chain Analysis. What's that company's name? I mean, there's research. Chainalysis. Yeah, and we know that you can, if you have enough money and you have the resources and you really want to find out, you can definitely trace back all the Bitcoin addresses and do detective work and figure out who these people are. So when people say Bitcoin is anonymous, it's actually not anonymous at all. It's pseudonymous, which means there's addresses that attach to a specific person and whatever. But if you want to, you can track it down. So Dash is different than that. And I don't know if do you know much about Zcoin and their kind of ideas for privacy? I found it pretty interesting.
No, I don't. Let me think.
It's actually the core developer from Vertcoin. It's a Thai guy here in Bangkok.
Yeah, is that the one where you can erase the transaction history at some point? You can just mint whole new coins again, or am I getting it mixed up with a different one?
No, you're right. That's actually how it works, because some people say, and again, I say prove it, like you say, but people say that in theory, if you dig far enough back down the rabbit hole, even with mixing, you can figure out where the inputs and outputs came from. If you go far enough down the rabbit hole, but I think, it's theoretical. We haven't seen it happen.
Yes. And of course, how you can figure that out completely theoretical here is first off, if you receive if you receive 50 Dash into your wallet and you mix it all up and you send 50 Dash out, it's like 50 Dash appeared here, 50 Dash went there. I wonder if there's a connection. Like, you can kind of start to infer things like that. And generally speaking, you should receive in several amounts, not just one. You should mix and you should send out in amounts of fewer than 10 inputs. This is where it gets really technical. I wrote some article about maximizing the effects of the privacy with Dash. And of course, this is always being worked on and fixed. And there's always, for example, there's a thing. People just buy into this hype that private or not, or just super encrypted or not. There's a lot more that goes into that. For example, 95% of Zcash's transactions are not private, or it was more than that, I think, just because people don't use it. And that's fine. It's optional privacy for that, but people are kind of trading the tokens because of the value of the privacy. Or I don't know if they're thinking it or not. And so in order to use a private transaction with Zcash, you have to have a full node and you have to send a shielded transaction. I can't remember if I think it's still command line only. You have to type it all out and to do that. It might be mistaken. They might have had in their graphical user interface wallet, and the same thing goes for Monero, right? You need a full node wallet to be completely private. There's a few little workarounds where so people set up a remote node where you're running a node and then you communicate with a lighter client. But the thing that no one really knows about is no mobile devices have any privacy offerings at all.
Comment on that.
None of them.
So we're using Telegram and these different apps, and they're encrypted in theory. But the problem is that we aren't using encrypted devices. So that entry into whatever we're using, the packets can be sniffed. People can find out what's actually.
It's because what happens with, and this is this gets down a little bit of the weeds. When you're using an encrypted transaction, if you're using a light wallet, like 99% of the wallets out there, anything that doesn't have the full blockchain there on your computer, anything that's not a full node, you have to communicate to a full node somewhere, right?
Right.
And so if you have encrypted transaction data, how are you going to tell the node? How are you going to talk to the node if it's all encrypted? You really can't. It's very difficult to be able to do that. And what happens is, if you do have a light wallet that works with a private coin, it's likely not anonymous right now. I'm sure there are some workarounds to be able to improve the kind of situation. But I was talking to the CEO of Airbits, or what is now going to be Edge, and he basically said that it's a nightmare for encrypted privacy coins to ever be on mobile devices. They probably will not.
Right.
They may never be, just because of that. Now, Dash, the mixing function of Dash is possible on mobile devices now. It has not been implemented yet because it would drain the battery of your cell phone so much, just be mixing and stuff. And so they're trying to figure some workarounds. Basically, next year there will be some workarounds to make that possible. But at that point, it's like a race to who can be the first private coin on a mobile device. And I mean, and that's one of the things I admire, the tenacity of the Monero community in going for the always on privacy thing, because what happens is it makes you hit these roadblocks to, make everything private. And it's like, now you hit all these problems, and more problems mean more solutions, mean more innovation. And that's why, I mean, Coinomi has been trying to integrate Monero forever. Jax basically got them integrated, but then all got broken. They kind of gave up. Hardware wallets are all working. There's so few wallets that have integrated Monero for exactly that reason, that you can't just encrypt the surface level. You can't just integrate the surface level thing. You have to integrate the hardcore privacy of it, and that's going to be a challenge. And so, yeah, this is there's a lot of interesting stuff you can learn if you just look beneath the hype. There's just a lot going on.
Yeah, and Monero, I know that they're having real problems with getting it on the Nano S, and they've been trying for a while. I think there's actually a developer version out there now, but they're not like pushing it live because of all the issues they've been having. Michael says Dash is down 25%. Now it's down 30%. Okay, well, yeah, is it a good time to buy? Well, let me first comment on this fact, which, again, I think so many people that are maybe you're new to this space and you're just getting into it and you see what happens. And first, get used to the volatility. The volatility is why people are able to profit first off of. If you're looking at these crazy gains people are getting, it doesn't mean, it's just like from zero to that. There's been a lot of bumps along the way. And to that point, Dash is actually up like over 200,000% this year, which if you told any investor in any other market, they would tell you that you're lying and that you're insane. But that's reality. Dash is the only coin besides Bitcoin that ever started under $1 in value and rose to over $1,000 in value. It's the second one. So keep that in mind. I think a lot of times people are very short-sighted. They think this should go to the moon overnight. And when you really look at what's going on, it's actually already to the moon, from less than $1 to $1,500 in basically since January.
Yeah. And that's what people don't fully appreciate about the crypto space is, I mean, obviously any technology has ups and downs. Look, the market's just always, it's up, it's down, it's down, it's up, whatever. Crypto space is the same, but like on steroids, except the weird thing with cryptocurrency is the whole chart here is just like tilted this way. So you're not going up and down, up and down. You're going up and down vertically.
Yeah.
Right? So
if you stretch out on the timeline,
money right now.
Yeah.
Right. It's just so hard. It's so easy to lose out on potentially more money, but just the whole market is going so high. There's so much money pouring into the whole market. Right.
Yeah. And David says something similar, like, what do you make of the falling prices of Ethereum and Litecoin? Anything to be worried about? Again, guys, this is not financial advice, but if you are in this space, you need to be very, very comfortable with waking up and your whole portfolio being down 30% in a day. It's pretty normal. And actually then the next day you may be up 10 or 20%. It's just what happens. And we've been on a crazy run for the past 3-4 months. And even if Bitcoin fell like 50% in value right now, it would still be worth more than it was just a month ago. So that's something to think about. You can't have unstoppable, unlimited growth without people taking their profits out and without the market correcting in some manner. So for personally, I would say, no, it depends on you. Do you believe in Ethereum? Do you believe in Litecoin? Why are you holding this as an investment? If you don't believe in it, then you shouldn't have it as far as I'm concerned. If you don't see the long-term potential, then get out, right? Like don't be involved with it.
Yeah, people have short memories. Like I remember when Bitcoin is a little over $100 in mid 2013, when I got some, then it went like 1,100 or something. It went, whoa, and then it had that not slow, but I had that fairly constant, heartbreaking collapse down to 200. And like I was making income in Bitcoin on the down as well, like little bits here and there. Like, oh, it's 600. Oh, now it's worth 400. Oh, okay, and then it starts going up. Dash, I think, came out under $1 and then was like $1. It went up to like $14-15 back in like 2015 or 2014, and then just crashed below $1. Yeah. And that was just like $15 to like nothing. It's like, oh crap. And then it just worked its way up. And then it, that's the thing is I make all my money in Dash, and I sort of negotiate. What we've been doing is negotiating salary on, this is what a reasonable person should make, and just the Dash conversion of that. And and it is a big risk, right? Because
it's very much a risk.
Then you get the money, and then all of a sudden it just tanks. You still have to sell it low to pay your bills or whatever. I believe a lot of people are putting in proposals with the Dash Treasury. It's starting to become more common to use the 30-day moving average. So there's a little bit of leeway in case it goes down, which I think if everyone starts doing that, there's going to be a lot of extra money lying around, because let's just face it, it's not this whole 25%, 30% down. It's like, that's not going to last. It's just going to be so much higher. And that's not even a positive, like, oh yeah, it's such an awesome thing. It's like, no, this is the way the markets are going. Everything is going to the moon. We're nowhere near bubble pop territory. I mean, this is going so high. So yeah, it's strap yourselves in. Is a crazy ride. Speaking of SpaceX.
Yeah, SpaceX Falcon 9 landing today. I need to check that out. Looks like a lot of red on the charts at the moment. Yes, and red is when I like to buy. So again, not financial advice, guys, but you don't want to. A lot of people, they chase this FOMO thing. And I saw people buying on the Facebook group. There's people commenting about, oh, they're going to buy Verge, and I'm like, dude, Verge is up like 600% in a week, and you're going to get your first Verge right now. Like, you got to think about this. You got to remember that it's easy to get caught up in the hype, and you actually want to usually do the opposite of what the market is doing. So when everybody's buying, you don't want to be buying.
So to answer that general concern or whatever, I mean, the whole non-financial advice, obviously you should figure out what you want to invest in and do your own due diligence. But if you wanted to invest in anything in the crypto field, today sounds like a pretty good day to do it.
Yeah.
Just say it. Right. Like, it's about, if you already decided you're going to invest, why not today?
Yeah. You want to get stuff on sale, right? You don't want to pay more than what it's worth, right? And then there is obviously the value is being determined by the market, but if the value has gone to a certain level in the past, that becomes like a new level of support. So we're going to go back there and eventually exceed it, as long as, the project is good and valuable and sticks around, and, the whole ecosystem doesn't collapse. But so think about that, right?
Yeah, this is going to be an interesting thing, and I'm going to have the appearance of talking smack about Litecoin, and I don't mean to do that necessarily, but it's just an interesting thing for markets, right? Litecoin was at an all-time high in 2013 with Bitcoin, right? Mm-hmm. And then it just crashed, and then Bitcoin went back up, and Litecoin kind of didn't, mostly because its founder was just working at Coinbase and not doing much. And then when the whole SegWit thing wasn't coming through, he just said, well, I'm going to test it out on Litecoin first, and Litecoin went up to the moon. He also may or may not have used his influence working at Coinbase to get Litecoin added, which is to the moon some more. Talk about Lightning Networks, atomic swaps, more to the moon. Now Charlie Lee says he sold all his Litecoin.
Yeah.
And I don't know his motivations. He says stuff. Anyone can say stuff. Who cares? Mm-hmm. The point is he dumped all his coins. And what will that do to the Litecoin markets? Now, will they recover as much as, say, Ethereum? I don't know. Let's watch. Let's see what happens. Let's see if they keep recovering a little bit, or let's see if they do the Dogecoin thing and kind of start slipping down in the charts, and then once in a while an astronomical pump, and then back down. Right? Who knows?
Yeah, I think that is interesting because he's been very vocal and he's been out there, and he's one of the guys that always has something to say. And I think I took him at face value. I think what he says is actually really interesting because somebody had commented on the Facebook group, show me like one other founder that for a company that just like sold all of their stock, right? And I kind of pointed out, well, you really can't compare this to that because, Litecoin is not a private company. It's a peer-to-peer decentralized currency. And yeah, he kind of leads the project or is the vision behind it or whatever. But being that it is a currency and there's so much speculation, when he goes and he tweets or, gets on these TV shows and whatever, that can have a big impact on the market. And I think it's fair for people to criticize him and say, that maybe he's partaking in manipulation of some sort. And maybe this is manipulation as well. But I think I took him at face value where he's just like, hey, I just want to get rid of this so I can actually just move on and like work on the project without everyone saying that like every time I open my mouth, I'm trying to like manipulate my earnings.
Well, it's an interesting thing to think about. If you look at it's Litecoin is very, very similar to Bitcoin in its inner workings. And so that means it is technically a very decentralized project. Now, practically, it seems like it's very centered around a cult of personality where people are saying, tweet this so the price goes up. People have been harassing this poor guy on Twitter, which I say poor guy, he kind of does like attention. So
he's very outspoken.
I don't know. I don't know, like if he should, how sad he should feel for him, but he gets it's pretty funny to me. People are like, Charlie, what are you going to do about the price? He's like, I can't do anything. What are you talking about?
Yeah. I know. They like tweet him like, hey, Charlie, make the price go up. Or what's the Litecoin price going to be in 3 months? Like, who the hell knows, man?
Yeah, it's great. It's great to watch. It's good fun. And he kind of got out of all that. He tried to by saying, I don't have any coins anymore. But now people are going to be even more upset with him because
there's even more speculation.
Make our money go up. And they'd be like, you don't care. You said that and you crashed the price because you don't have any stake in it anymore, you bastard. Like, I'm sure there's going to be a lot of that coming out. And I mean, this guy has his background cover photo in Twitter has Bitcoin in it. So that started a little bit of a divided loyalty. And so what if he says, Litecoin's a great project, but I still think Bitcoin's number one. If you care about the future of cryptocurrency, you should invest in Bitcoin. Then everyone dumps Litecoin. They get mad at him. He's like, I don't have any. Like, I don't know. Even if he keeps developing on it, it is a little bit weird that like now there's no skin in the game. There's no collateralization, which is one of the big things that makes Dash tick. Is you have a bunch of money in the game. You can't just mess around. Otherwise, you lose out on your value.
Yeah, I think that there's good points on both sides of that. And I think even if he, was being kind of honest with his motivations, I think he opened an even further can of worms, like he pointed out. You can't win with the critics. So now you have this thing where they're like, obviously he's trying to manipulate it again, right? He's gonna make it go down, and then he's just gonna buy back in or whatever. Yeah, we have what steps should I follow when I buy? My plan at the moment is buy Bitcoin on Coinbase, then trade it to some other coin. Please help. If you're trading, if your intention is to trade to something else, do not ever buy Bitcoin again. It's way too expensive. It's way too slow. Every time you trade, you're losing money. Just
buy Bitcoin with the expectation it's going to sit there. So if you
forever.
want Bitcoin, so if you make the decision that you want to invest in Bitcoin. If that's the thing that you use, say you're trying to get to Dash, right? You're like, okay, well, I'm going to buy Litecoin. Litecoin is probably the cheapest, least congested network on Coinbase right now. You'd want to do that, and then you shapeshift or Changelly to turn it to Dash. Now, if you use Uphold, you can buy Dash straight. In fact, I don't know if it's still going. They did have a promotion where they're doing 0.65% fee or something, and which is like half for like all the other coins that they have there.
Right.
So I don't know if that's still going, but Dash does have like a lower fee than most buying there. So if you wanted to get Dash, you would go to Uphold. Probably that'd be a really good place to go.
I've been meaning to check that out. I don't use US bank accounts anymore, so I don't think they support Thai banks. But
yeah,
I'll check.
So
it out.
Anyway, I won't tell you, Fabian, where to put the money. I tell you my reasons for what I do with my world. I never used an exchange before. Actually, I just been paying this stuff all the time.
Wow, nice.
I've done a couple of like over the counter, like cash for crypto stuff here in New Hampshire, but mostly it's been selling rather than buying. So this is a world I kind of like look at from the outside, but
So you're not trading and doing all that kind of stuff. You pretty much just
that's a lot of
Dash and you hold on to it.
Yeah, that's a lot of work, and I spend Dash too, right? I just try to use it,
spend it,
and it's one of those things that my perspective is I want to be where people are using the technology. I care about that. The price is just like a cool thing, and the speculation is just a fun thing to watch. And, look at the markets today. Well, you look at that, like it's just it's a kind of fun thing. So if you have a bunch to invest, it depends on your trading strategy. And here's the thing, you have to religiously watch the news, watch Reddit, watch all this kind of stuff to figure out where it's going to go up or down, what's going to be the next new hype cycle, all this kind of stuff. And that's still a really dangerous game, right?
Yeah,
now,
very much so. What
I would suggest is just research into some project. You don't have to keep checking the charts every day. You get a project you can have some kind of faith in, and actually get a few, because you could be wrong about one of them. Just get a few that you're like, this is solid. I really think it's going someplace. Put some money in them, and then when they're down, like whatever's down, just throw money into that. And then when it's up, throw money into the one that's down, and that's kind of how you do it. So, I mean, obviously not non-trading advice, but doesn't it make sense to buy stuff that's cheap, and then when it's up, you take those gains? I mean, there's plenty of information out there for people who actually want to trade and make a bunch, but research. The more you know, it's not just. Yeah. So I'm seeing that question in there. Do you guys recommend any Reddit groups? Let me just tell you some groups I do not recommend first.
r/Bitcoin.
So r/Bitcoin is a heavily censored forum, and it's been known to do that for a while.
Censored, yeah.
r/BTC is not censored. It is biased in a way that I usually tend to agree with, but it still is biased, but you can get other stuff in there. One to avoid is r/cryptocurrency, because that one is massively brigaded, especially from people from the Monero perspective of things. For example, any Monero announcement instantly goes to 300 to 600 upvotes. Any Dash related thing instantly goes to 0. It just is massively. It's a big problem there.
Pretty obvious, right?
Yeah. So what I would say is, and this is a very good discussion now on information, right? Where do you get your information from? Is there an objective news source? No. What you want to do is you want to cross-reference biased news sources. So you want to find out about Litecoin. Why don't you go to the Litecoin subreddit? You want to find out about Bitcoin Cash? Go to that one. You want to find out about any of these things, and then what you do is you can sometimes ask about competing projects. Hey, how does Litecoin compare with Monero? And then they'll tell you what they think. And then you ask, well, you go to Monero, well, they say that this, and then they'll say that. Just bounce it back and forth, because then you know you're getting the whole truth if you get all the biases at once. You can kind of cross-reference them. Well, this said this person said this is how they were, But yeah, it is a little bit of work. But if you like this stuff, if this isn't entertaining for you, if it's not just I want to make money, if you're actually interested in this stuff, then you'd love the back and forth. I mean, there's a lot of trolling that's kind of terrible, and awful and all that.
Yeah.
But as long as you just kind of ignore the trolling and get to the arguments and stuff about like, oh, SegWit's the best. It helps scale this and that. Lightning networks are gonna this, and then someone else says payment channels can't work because they need this, and then you're just like you're bouncing all that back and forth, and you start to think, oh, well, I know that people are gonna have to scale off chain, but I also know that you need a bigger block for that. So maybe I'll go with, like now you start to formulate educated opinions. Now you have everyone's different crazy biased screamings all in your head. You can kind of like average them out and sort of find what the truth is.
It's a really good strategy because, like a lot of these Reddit groups are very biased, as we're pointing out. So yeah, I like your strategy of reading the biased stuff and then reading the opposite end of the spectrum and just trying to find what's actually real in the middle there. What wallets can you use for Uphold? So do you use Uphold?
I don't use Uphold, but I believe it has a built-in wallet, just like Coinbase.
Yeah, so, and it's a mobile app as well, if I remember correctly. So it has a mobile wallet.
Yeah, so because you can trade different currencies on the app there.
Yeah.
So as far as what app would you use to get your stuff off of Uphold? It really depends on what coins you have. There's a few good multi-coin wallets. I believe Exodus is something people recommend a lot for desktop, and for mobile, Coinomi seems to be what most people use. Now, I heard some drama about Coinomi recently, and I did not look into it, so look into that first. But
there's some drama about Jax as well that people are saying it's not really secure. I'm not sure.
Jax works, but it's really buggy, and it's like it's not going to be unsafe or anything. It technically works, but it's just slow and it's buggy, and there's always going to be a problem with like they calculate exchange rates weird and all this kind of stuff.
And having Shapeshift in the wallet is a tough thing as well because your Shapeshift is running their own calculations on the price as well in the background. So anytime you open your wallet, you're like, is this really is this the real worth of what I'm holding right now? It's like it's kind of As Fabian says, how would you compare Dash with Litecoin? Because I guess for me, those would be two competitors that actually, want to be peer-to-peer cash. Though I'm not sure if that's actually Charlie's vision. But for me, I use Litecoin a lot for trading, as I just mentioned, because Dash isn't there yet. I would love to be able to just buy Dash and then just send it and trade with it. But you still need those like fiat on ramps, right, in this current system. And so you can get Litecoin or Ethereum very easily, and you can send those cheaply. To speak to your point, Fabian, if your intention is to get a coin from Coinbase and then move it into some other altcoin, you definitely don't want to be using Bitcoin. Primarily, you want to use Ethereum. There's been some problems with the transaction times lately, thanks to the CryptoKitties and the $18 million worth of sales of CryptoKitties already. But in general, Ethereum has the most trading pairs. There's not really many Litecoin trading pairs. So typically, what you have to do is move the Litecoin to the exchange and then exchange all of your Litecoin for Ethereum, and then you can go to town on everything else. But yeah, how would you compare Dash with Litecoin as far as, I guess, being the peer-to-peer cash solution?
Yeah. So here's a fun fact. Dash was first forked from Litecoin. So
I don't think I knew that.
Yes. Well, here's the thing. It's not anymore. So Dash was, this is where all cryptocurrencies tend to be, or a lot of them tend to be based on Bitcoin Core, right? They tend to be based on the Bitcoin code base. And so Dash was originally forked from Litecoin code base, but because there were some bugs in the mining algorithm, within the first 24 hours, there was like a ton of coins that got mined like insanely fast. And Evan, the founder at the time, had a full-time job, and so he was trying to like put out fires and patch the thing while he's at work, and getting yelled at by his boss and all this kind of stuff. And so they fixed it and changed the emissions, so now it's a little bit more gradual. But anyway, there was that big bug left over in the Litecoin code that caused all that. And then later they switched back to the Bitcoin Core code base. So it used to be a fork of Litecoin, but not anymore. So that's why this is a valid question. So first off, Bitcoin Dash and Litecoin have a lot of similarities because they both started out with 1 megabyte blocks, and they both started out with, and they both still have, by the way, 2.5-minute block intervals, right? So Bitcoin block comes by every 10 minutes about, and Litecoin or Dash block comes by every about 2.5 minutes, so 4 times as quickly. So basically what that means is you have 4 times the same megabyte size. The same size of a block has 4 times the capacity with Dash and Litecoin as Bitcoin because they come by a lot quicker. And so that's, in its base, Dash and Litecoin were almost the same, except for Dash started for like a day. It was a very short amount of time. It was called Xcoin and then Darkcoin for a while.
Darkcoin, yeah.
Yes, and Darkcoin, to be a little bit crude about it, was basically Litecoin with better privacy features, right? Mm-hmm. Because of the mixing thing. But now, because of that whole decentralized governance thing, Litecoin is just like just Bitcoin with faster blocks, basically. I mean, really.
Yeah, and I think also Charlie Lee has kind of pointed that out, that he really thinks like Bitcoin is the be all end all, and so he just wanted Litecoin to be like a faster, cheaper Bitcoin.
Yeah, so that's kind of the way it is. Both Dash and Litecoin have a little bit of ASIC resistance in their mining algorithms, where it's harder to make machines specifically designed to mine it quicker. Although with Dash, they crack that a little bit quicker. So basically, Litecoin just send transaction. Dash has instant transaction features where you can confirm 1.3 seconds. It has privacy. Has a whole 10. I mean, I remember earlier this year, there's this post on the Litecoin subreddit about they're so happy they got their first full-time developer. Meanwhile, Dash was like 30 to 50 deep with full-time developers at the time.
Right.
And I mean, it's a completely different scaled project, but because Litecoin's Litecoin's been around since 2011, so it's got 3 years on Dash, and it's just been and it has a very vocal and visible founder. It's gotten a lot of these like exchanges and like older kind of integrations, and so it has that a very targeted integration leg up. Now Dash is accepted at way more businesses around the world. I mean, just look at discoverdash.com. It's just all over the place. Where's discoverlitecoin.com? There is a Litecoin business listing somewhere, but it's not really in date, so I can't really compare. But yeah, so that's like the technical thing. Now, what do you want them for, right? If you want some speculation, you want to speculate on especially future features in Bitcoin. Litecoin is probably where you want to go because it seems like they're going to test whatever happens in Bitcoin Core and Litecoin first. If you want a digital cash payment system, Dash is the way to go. Or if you want to try out joining the decentralized autonomous organization, Dash is also your way. So that's kind of the difference.
Cool. Yeah. If I want to start mining with crypto, which crypto will be the best? And should I start on my own desktop or pay for a service? I don't know a whole lot about mining. I've never mined before. I do know that most of those hash or cloud mining services or whatever are just giant scams, guys. So be very careful about those. Yeah, I think there's like 2 of them that maybe are legit, but most of them are just crazy Ponzi schemes. So the other thing is like mining on your own desktop. You can't really do that. I mean, nowadays it's very
hard.
difficult.
Depends on the coin.
Yeah.
Generally, what you want to do if you want to mine is you got to think of it strategically. You got to find out some coin you think is going to be profitable in the long term. You got to buy the right mining equipment, which is an upfront investment. Make sure you're somewhere where electricity costs are going to be low, or you can be managed. Or like, for example, you can run your miner in the winter and not have to pay for heating because it'll just heat the house. A lot of people do that. Like, you can cut the electricity costs, find a way to do that. And then the profitability, obviously, the more people mining, the more people are going to here's an interesting problem that happened, right? So Dash got all these ASIC miners, all these Antminer D3s. The difficulty went so high, and then it was not even worth the electricity anymore to mine. And so a lot of people are just like, oh, we got screwed or whatever. So if you still want to mine in that situation, here's what you do. You first have enough fiat currency to be able to pay the bills that you can afford to take losses for a little while. And you just start mining, you pay the electricity cost, you start amassing all that money, all of the Dash, you start hodling, and then you assume the price is going to go up at some point, or you put it on exchanges and put in sell orders at the price that's profit parity, right? And then just wait until that happens. Then you make a profit. And I mean, obviously that works even better if it's not unprofitable now. But basically, it's in way of you have to manage your risk, and you have to hold long term on that stuff. Mm-hmm. Also, there's some reasons why that might be more profitable than trading. For one thing, you don't need to do any AML, KYC, anything to mine. You just mine, you get the money. So if you have banking problems, or you just don't want anyone to know that you're stashing away all this stuff, or whatever you got going on that might, make exchanges not work, you do that. Or if you have cheap electricity or something, like if you have an all-inclusive rent agreement and you just, start mining on the DL and hope that your landlord doesn't get too pissed off,
Yeah, what the hell's going on with the power bill?
Yeah, you can figure out something like that. Or if you just want, or what if you don't want to trust an exchange, right? You don't want to trust someone else to hold your money. They could go under. You could get, Mount Goxed. I don't know. If you don't want that, then maybe it's a more secure way of acquiring it. So there's a few different factors, and basically, though, you're going to need a top of the line rig, and you're going to need to take a little bit of risk, no matter what.
And the risk is there, but I think to your point, if you find a good project and you start mining early when there's low difficulty, and you hold on to it for the long term. One of the interesting things about the futures, which I didn't see a lot of people talking about with the Bitcoin futures, is people are saying, people are going to be shorting Bitcoin and everything. And personally, I don't think too many people are going to take short positions, because it would be kind of crazy with the momentum right now. But one thing that people aren't talking about is for the miners, that these futures are actually really great, because now what a miner can do is a miner has a way to hedge their risk. They know that they've got fixed costs, right, for electricity and for their systems and all that kind of stuff. And so now they can basically put in a sell order at a rate where they can recoup at least their costs, right? Like that. Obviously, if you're a miner, you're bullish. You think Bitcoin is going up in the long term. But now you can actually hedge your risk with these futures, these paper contracts that will allow you to say, well, okay, if I'm wrong, at least I can sell this and I can cover my costs, right? So that's an interesting thing for the futures.
Yeah.
Do you see the possibility of like a Dash-based financial instruments such as that? I mean, obviously we don't know, so stuff is happening so fast. But do you think with the futures, could there be like a Dash ETF or futures or some sort of, traditional financial market instrument interacting with the Dash network?
Of course. I'm sure that will happen probably much sooner than for other cryptocurrencies. I know that the CEO of the Dash core team is a former hedge fund manager.
Oh, okay.
So he's definitely got ties to that old financial world. So that's one thing that, seems to sort of give some people pause about Dash, is it has this like normie friendly feel to it. It's like cypherpunk, just because it's trying to appeal to, those kinds of people that, the larger expanse of the world.
But yeah, I mean, the world is not cypherpunks, right? Like 99% of people. So if you actually want this to work, you got to get those stakeholders on board, right?
Yeah, that's for sure.
Yeah. So I think if anyone else has questions, take a couple more. Thanks for Joel for being on here. It is late for where you are, so I don't want to keep you on here any much longer. It's like 11, right? Yeah, 11.
Yeah. So get a lot of content out of this. Oh, we got six people watching, huh?
Yeah, there was a lot more on. They're starting to drop off too. So we've been going pretty long. So if you just want to let people know where they can reach you and how to get in contact with you, and they'll definitely do that, I'm sure.
Yeah. So I'm on just about every social network in some way. The easiest way, of course, is straight to Twitter at the Desert Links. Desert is in dry, hot place. Links is in kitty cat, and not Ethereum kitty cat. So
not the crypto.
At the Desert Links. I help run the dashforcenews.com, right? It's the #1 Dash news source anywhere. I mean, it's not even a hard claim to make. I mean, we're doing pretty well with there. So basically, if you want to know anything about Dash, just go there, because we try to cover the ecosystem the best we can. And it's like a lot of people just do not know what's happening with it, because there's a little bit, just like there was a mainstream media blackout of Bitcoin in the early days, there is a crypto media blackout on Dash, or there was. It's starting to change a little bit now. But
yeah, I've noticed
for the
it's
longest time,
a bit.
Yeah, for the longest time, just no one would talk about it. And so there's so much that's still to be known that's all out there. So follow dashforcenews.com. Follow me on Twitter at the Desert Links. And you'll see a lot of cool stuff going out. Discover-.com is the third bit, because that's going to be the portal from the general public into the Dash world. And right now, it has a listing of what the 556 or so businesses that take Dash around the world. If you're lucky enough to live in some of these concentrated places, like in Kiev, there's about a dozen cafes you can go spend your Dash at.
Oh, nice.
In Portsmouth, New Hampshire, there's like 18 or so. There's a 5-star hotel, restaurant, and bar in Tallinn, Estonia. You can, spend your Dash on. There's a resort in Nicaragua. I can't find you. Please rate your Twitter. How do we get that?
Yeah, I'll pin his information on this post after we end the live stream, so everything will be on there. It's hard to write it on. If I write it on the screen, it doesn't actually stay there anyways. So
it's going to be in the Facebook group as well, right?
Yeah, this is going to be live on the Facebook group, and I'll pin the post. And actually, we're going to export this to YouTube.
Yeah, I'm in the group too, and so someone just be, hey, dude, where do I find you? I'm here.
Hey, Dash dude.
Yeah, where do I find that Dash guy? It's like,
cool. Well, thank you for coming on. You're the first live stream interview on this group, so thank you for doing that. And we'll have to have you on again. I'll let you go because you've been on forever. I'm going to stick on with you guys and answer some more general market questions or whatever you guys want for maybe another 20 or 30 minutes.
Like, who the hell was that guy? What's up with his hair? I don't know. Whatever smack talking you want to do while I'm not here, go ahead and do that.
Perfect. All right. Thanks again. I will talk to you very soon. I'll see you in the group. Peace, man. Thanks.
All right. See you. Have a good one.
All right, guys, that was Joel. And yeah, hopefully you guys learned a lot about Dash. It's one of those projects that I have been following for a while. I actually first got into it when it was about $7. Unfortunately, I didn't keep most of that Dash. So it's gone on a pretty crazy run. But I'm glad you guys enjoyed that. Thanks again for being here. It was a pretty long live stream. When did we start here? I didn't even see when we started here. Trying to figure it out. Been live since... a couple hours now. So that was good. Thank you guys for that. And again, thank you everyone in the group. We are at over 10,000 members now. And that's really exciting and really great times. This group has been growing massively and very, very quickly. So thanks for the support and being interactive in the group. And, thanks also for reporting the spam and all the kind of stuff that we don't want that comes in the group. So if you guys have any other questions about the markets or anything in general, not like Dash specific, we can go into that now. I'll probably answer like 15, 20 minutes of questions. And then I've got a long day of work ahead of me here in Bangkok. So anybody have any other questions you want to throw in the chat, go ahead and do that. And I will answer them for you. It is getting very close to the holidays here. So, and by the way, the third episode or like the third day of the Cryptocurrency for Beginners course will be online in the next hour or so. When I get off this live stream here, I'm actually going to go ahead and get that in the members area of keystofreedom.com. So you guys will have access to that. Those of you that have been following the Cryptocurrency for Beginners video course, I hope you had a great time with that. And let me know if you have any feedback, anything that's missing that you really want to get into. This is a course that I will continuously be working on and updating and just making sure that it's the best resource for beginners that are coming into this space. So yeah, guys, where are you from? Emily says, great. Thank you, Emily. Where are you guys at? Do you have any questions? That's a great course. Thank you, Richard. It's a lot of work. Those videos are pretty long, as you've seen. So I definitely wanted to spread it out over 7 days so that I could go pretty deep on the topics without boring you. You know, not going into too many details where you fall asleep while you're watching the videos or anything. But yeah, let's play around with this. We got Christmas presents falling here. It is the holidays, guys. It's just 3 days away from Christmas here, so pretty crazy. This year has just flown by, and I know that I am very, very excited going into 2018 about the state of the cryptocurrency market, all of the amazing technological developments ahead, and it's just very exciting times. So Emily says, "What brought you to Thailand?" Yeah, so I mean, I've been out here for a little over 5 years now, basically like 5.5 years, and originally just came here on a trip and came out here for a month. I was working at GoDaddy and back in Arizona. Had been there for about 6.5 years at that point, and was just kind of tired of like the corporate grind. Wanted to do something different. Yeah, fell in love with Thailand when I came out here for a month and went back home, started saving a bunch of money and building my own business. I started doing SEO work for clients, and the rest is history. I've been out here for 5.5 years and built multiple businesses and just kind of living that expat lifestyle. So yeah, if you're in Thailand or want to come out to Thailand, I highly recommend it. It's a great country. It's a really great country to live in. If you can earn money online and have that kind of business, you can live a really great lifestyle here. So check it out. Thailand is great. Yeah, guys, what other questions do you have? Thanks for being on the live stream. I know we've been on for what? We were on with Joel for over 2 hours, and I'm glad. I wanted to get some more questions in and everything. But the problem is that, of course, we want to let Joel sleep as well. He's in New Hampshire, so it's getting late there. And yeah, so you guys learned a lot about Dash if you haven't heard about it that much today. So you have a good understanding of Dash now. Do you guys have any other questions for me about the markets, about anything in general? You can ask, and I'll stick on here for maybe another 10 or 15 minutes. And then I'm going to get that beginner's course episode number 3 launched and up there for you guys to consume today. Actually, the third day is broken into 2 parts because it was pretty long and I wanted to go into depth. It's all about how to buy and sell and trade cryptocurrency, and then also about how to do it securely, of course, because security is the most important thing you need to know about when you're getting into this space. You need to protect yourself. Fabian says, where can I find the course? I'm from Sweden. So Fabian, what's up, man? Good to see you. I'm sure it's getting pretty cold where you're at in the world right now. You can go to keystofreedom.com/cryptocurrency101. And maybe I'll just drop that on screen for a second. And this is also pinned in the group. The very top post pinned in this group has the link and the information about this course as well. So you can just check the pinned post. This is, well, actually I can't for some reason. Oh. Yep, so sometimes this happens with BeLive. And now, unfortunately, you can't see your comments on the screen. But Dave says, is getting a virtual wallet really necessary? I'm wondering, Dave, what do you mean by a virtual wallet? I'm not positive I understand what you're asking. If you're asking if getting a wallet, like your own wallet outside of the exchanges is necessary, I would say 100% yes. You don't want to leave your private keys, your cryptocurrency stored on an exchange. You want to maintain control of your private keys because that's the only way you can be certain that you can't lose your cryptocurrency. If you leave your money, oh, Dave says Nano Ledger. So a hardware wallet. Okay. Yeah. So hardware wallets, they're not 100% necessary, but they are the safest option that's out there right now. Along with paper wallets, which is basically just like getting your cryptocurrency completely offline. But I would say, there's desktop wallets. I use Exodus. Exodus is a great wallet. It's very secure as long as you have the backups and you're safe about that. It's not 100% necessary to get a hardware wallet, but I highly recommend it, especially as you start to grow your portfolio. If you have a serious amount of your wealth in cryptocurrency, then you want to make sure to do everything possible to protect that. So if it's $100 or whatever for a hardware wallet, it's a small price to pay if you've got tens of thousands or even more money in your crypto portfolio. Julio, I have not seen any. Where can I find them? What are you referring to, Julio? Are you talking about the beginner's course? Because look in the group right now, and you can see the pinned post at the very top of the group. And it's the Crypto Christmas, which we've been having fun with, as you can see on the screen here with the frame and everything. It says day 2 of the Cryptocurrency for Beginners course is live right now, and that will change today. I'll update that pinned post to reflect that the 3rd day is out. So it's up there. You can opt in. You just basically join the Keys to Freedom website, which we have a free members area as well as our paid newsletter and all that. When you're in the free area, you're going to have access to this free course and some other resources that we have in there for you. So Dave, definitely I recommend grabbing a Nano Ledger. They can be kind of a little tough to use, and I don't say you necessarily need to store all of your cryptocurrency on a hardware wallet. I don't personally do that. I have cryptocurrency I store on my desktop wallet through Exodus, and that way I can easily send it to an exchange and trade actively. And then I do have cryptocurrency that I store on an exchange. And I tell you guys all the time, don't store your cryptocurrency on the exchange. But the unfortunate reality is you do need to have your cryptocurrency on an exchange if you want to trade. So I leave an amount on the exchanges that I'm comfortable leaving there and that I use to actively trade. And then everything else I move off of the exchange into a safer location. Okay. So the key is just making sure you're paying attention to your security and where your private keys are stored. All right, guys, what other questions do you have? What else we got here? Any other questions for you guys today? I'm very excited. Let's get some snow falling here as well. This is my first time in three or 4 years that I won't be going back to my hometown for the holidays. So I'm missing family a bit, but I'm excited to be here in Bangkok and to have this new cryptocurrency family going on here today. And it's pretty amazing times. And I want to thank you all again for being here. 2018 is right around the corner. I hope you guys have an amazing holiday season with your family and friends, and take a moment to be grateful for the year. And, if you guys watching have been in the cryptocurrency space, a lot of us have made a lot of money this year. Maybe think about spreading that around a little bit, spread a little bit of that wealth, maybe give to charity and, get something nice for your friends and family, and take some time during this time of the year to be grateful for all the opportunities that we've been given, especially being early in this market here. The opportunities we're given daily, to really see some incredible gains, some incredible profit and wealth building opportunities. Fabian says, thanks a lot, man. We'll do some more research, then do my first buy. Yeah, Fabian, if you're brand new, definitely I would caution you, or I guess recommend you, to really understand the technology that you're investing in, okay? Because you can get caught up in the hype and you just see like, oh, Bitcoin, 17K, 20K, whatever, you get excited. But I personally would never, ever invest in anything that I don't fully understand. And you need to understand both the rewards, of course, but you really need to understand the potential risks as well. And that's just something from an investment standpoint. There's risk management that you need to put into place to protect any possible downside you may have. So Fabian, if you are brand new, then welcome. You're in the right space. You're in the right group. This is Cryptocurrency for Beginners, and I focus on just making sure that new people coming in and learning about this space are getting access to the best information, and that you guys are not getting just all caught up in the hype and kind of different kind of scammy projects and information that's out there. So if you're brand new, I'd recommend you jumping on and doing that course. and just learning as much as you can. Ask questions in the group. There's a lot of really great people, and I want to stress again, it's not just me. You know, I'm not the secret to the group's success. It's really the community, and it's all of the people that are in there that are already experienced, and you know, they help out all the new people as well. So definitely stick in the group, ask any questions you have in the group. You'll get good answers, and you know that the community is building and getting stronger every single day. So guys, I'll take like one or two more questions. Oh, that one's pretty fun. Let's do this one. There we go. I like this one. So I'll take one or two more questions, and then I do need to eat some lunch and do a whole bunch of work for Keys to Freedom members today. So thank you to the Keys to Freedom community, our Black Ops guys. If any of you are on here right now, you make it possible for me and for Dirk and for Mitch to do this all day, every day, to really live and live and breathe and eat the cryptocurrency markets for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, if you will. Keith, Rhode Island, just waiting for your next video. I have seen nothing but good things from Tron. Your thoughts? I bought some Ether and Litecoin and don't see a downside at this point. Just waiting for a few more days to clear. Thanks. And Keith, just in general, I kind of touched on it earlier. And again, not financial advice. Do your own research. You know, talk to a financial advisor if you want to actually kind of determine how you should structure your overall investment portfolio. I'm not the guy to listen to for that. I'm just sharing what I do, letting you know, the mistakes that I've made, the things that I've learned in almost 7 years of being in this space. So with that said, these are the moments I live for. And actually, I think I just saw a post come through from Mitch Sanders on the Cryptocurrency for Beginners group. And let's look at this group real quick, and we'll just look at what Mitch is saying. Hold on a second. I'll bring this on the screen. I have way too many Facebook messages coming through right now. So actually, I'll just read it. You guys can see it in the group if you want. Mitch just posted 45 minutes ago, and he has a screenshot of the coin market cap and all of the coins besides Ripple, which is going on a hell of a run right now. But everything in the top 20 is down double digits today. Most of the coins over 20% down. We've got Bitcoin down 18%, Ethereum down 15%, Bitcoin Cash down 29%, Litecoin down 19%, IOTA down 22%, Cardano 20%, Dash 23%. And on and on and on it goes. So what does that mean, guys? Should you panic? Should you freak out? Is this the time to sell it all and get out of the markets and maybe go hiking and see the outside? Well, probably not. And these are the moments that, as Mitch said, I'll read his post because he said it pretty well. He says, and this is why myself, Derek Yoswal, and Diggy Dirk have been posting all week to take profits, to pull out your initial, and most importantly, only bet what you can afford to lose. Now the whole market has dropped 20 to 40%. It's time for me to do rebuys with the capital I pulled out over the past few days when we were at all-time highs. For me, right now, it's just like Christmas. For those who didn't take profits at all-time high or are betting more than they can lose, they are freaking out and probably panic selling. Don't be that guy. It's always smart to take profits. And I just want to kind of reiterate that and really passion on that. We do, the three of us, always tell people, never can afford or never put in more than you can afford to lose, and take profits, be smart. And so for me, again, like Mitch said, this is like Christmas to us. Whenever there's corrections like this, it basically means that now we can get things for much cheaper that were much more expensive yesterday, if that makes sense. So Tron, I have seen a lot of good things about as well. I think it looks very promising. I just, for full disclosure, don't currently own any Tron, but I have been, looking more into it and thinking about taking a position in it. It does seem like great technology, and it looks like it has a promising future. So we did see obviously a crazy run up in value of Tron over the past week, but we've kind of seen that on a lot of different cryptocurrencies in the market. So I think you just need to be aware in general, guys, that there's a lot of money moving into this market very quickly. And because of that, a lot of these different projects are getting run up in their value very fast. So Just be aware of FOMO, right? Like don't chase these pumps. Don't try to catch something that's already risen like 300 or 400% in a day, because there's a very good chance it's going to drop the next day, right? Because that kind of growth day to day to day and over a long period of time is not sustainable. There needs to be corrections like we're seeing today in the market. This is actually very healthy, guys. And that's something that if you're new to financial markets and you maybe don't know how they work, there needs to be these moments of corrections after like crazy new all-time highs have been set, because then you have new levels of what we call support and resistance. Okay, nothing can just go up and up and up and up and up and up forever. And when you do get these crazy run-ups, then it starts to be really scary. Actually, when Bitcoin has gone from what was roughly like $4,000 to $20,000 over just a couple of months, that's actually scary. You don't want to see that continue. You want to see what's happening now, which is Bitcoin's gone back down to like 16,000, 15,000, and then it can start to work its way back up. Okay. You want to see that. It's healthy for the market to get these corrections and then to work itself back up, because then, you can see that there is actually faith in the market. And that's important. Markets run on faith of the community. So it's important for us to see the 30% drop or whatever, and then for that to work its way back up and then go to new all-time highs again. It shows that there's actual real solid foundation and belief in the market overall. Mike Butterworth, again, guys, I can't put your comments on the screen anymore because BeLive just took a dump on me there. But Mike says, can you give a rundown of your top 3 scams and a quick explanation of why they're scams? I know that there is a kind of like a split in the community where people are promoting like BitConnect and USI Tech and these different kind of Ponzi schemes. And while I will say that they are not necessarily, the word scam shouldn't necessarily apply, but they are Ponzi schemes, okay? And a Ponzi scheme eventually comes collapsing down. And I think if people are aware of that, and they're willing to take that risk, because again, there's risk in all of this. And if you want to make profit, if you want to make money, you do have to risk your capital. And the more risk that you take, the more potential for higher rewards. It's just kind of in general how markets work. So, but I would say that I think anything that is promising you a guaranteed daily payout over the long period of time is probably not sustainable. So you're actually most likely going to get burnt in the end, or the person coming in at the end of it is going to get burned, I should say. But yeah, I would say stay away from those things. USI Tech, BitConnect, there's NeoConnect coming out. There's all these different ones. I would say stay away from those. The other scams that are kind of more blatantly obvious and they really catch a lot of people is these like cloud mining services where they just Bitcoin a little bit here. So hear me? I'm gonna catch up. Are we still live? Maybe. Okay, so I think we're live again. All right. So yeah, you should, connection dying. I think we're back now, Mike. I will go back over what I was saying. The more kind of obvious scams is which you'll see in the group all the time is people like, commenting like, hey, get free Bitcoin this way, PM me for details. And there's people like out there on Facebook groups and they're telling people how they can get free Bitcoin, all this stuff. And then they're just basically having people send Bitcoin to their wallet address and then disappearing. So that's pretty common. The other things are these cloud mining contracts. A lot of those, I would say 99% of them are scams. They tell you, send me your Bitcoin and you're going to make this much back. If it sounds too good to be true, guys, be very wary of it. For me, I think the best idea is just to find good projects that have good technology and, buy them and hold on to them. And that makes it easy for you. Don't get caught up in these hypey, scammy kind of, guaranteed return on investment, blah, 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 blah. There's already so much profit and money to be made in this space that you don't need to go and do riskier things just for like a guaranteed profit. So hopefully that answers your question, Mike. Individually, you just want to look into the projects and really do the research and like who's behind it, like who the team is. Have they, built anything successfully before? Is there actually any technology that's already been developed, or is it just kind of like an idea that maybe is, they never bring to fruition? So you want to be careful when you are researching a new project. Mike says, thanks for that, and I don't want to steal all the Q&A time, but given the lack of other questions, what's your opinion on Tether and how much an effect do you think it will have on the crypto space price if an audit finds that it's not legit? I think Tether is probably, now that you point that out, that's a good point to your question. I think Tether is probably the biggest scam that exists in the cryptocurrency market today. I think, there is zero evidence that the market cap of Tether is actually backed up by any holdings in a bank. There has been one public audit, and actually it was a private audit that they paid for and that they released. And that was, I think, from data back in March or whatever. And it showed that they had basically like $24 million in their bank account. Well, today I just checked, the total market cap of Tether is $1.2 billion. And in the past several months, there has been probably $800 million worth of Tether brought into circulation. And so Tether as a company says, well, yeah, we have that equal amount of capital to back that Tether in a bank account. And I think that's obviously a lie. I highly, highly doubt that they have $1.2 billion in US dollars in capital sitting in a bank, especially because we've seen they have banking problems, right? Like Wells Fargo shut down their bank account, and there's a court case going on right now about that. So I do not trust Tether at all. I always recommend do not leave your money in Tether. It's just not safe, guys. There's an alternative on the BitShares network called BitUSD, which is actually decentralized and collateralized 200% for every dollar that you can get in there. So if you want to keep your crypto in like a USD, like a stable cryptocurrency, look into BitUSD on the BitShares network. That is good. It's decentralized and there's no backdoor manipulation going on. There's other stable coin options that are coming out and like technology that's being looked into, and you will see a lot more of that, because I do think obviously there is a big need and people have a real craving to have a stable cryptocurrency that maintains like a dollar for dollar value. But you don't want to move your money out of the markets and back into the bank. So a lot of people are using Tether, unfortunately. So you asked if Tether blows up, what kind of effect will it have on the market? And obviously it won't be good, right? I think Bitfinex being such a large exchange and really a lot of shady things appear to be going on behind the scenes. And I do think that's kind of why they froze out US-based customers, is not so much because there's more regulations or it's harder to take US-based customers. I actually think it's because they are doing some things that they could possibly be taken to task for, and maybe the SEC might go after them, and so they're trying to distance themselves from any business relationships with Americans, because the SEC has long-arm jurisdiction. And what that means is the SEC says that if you do business with any American, if you take even a single cent from a single American, and you defraud them, then the SEC can come after you. So I think, that's kind of behind the scenes why Bitfinex has moved away from dealing with Americans. And again, this is not to spread FUD. This is not me stating a fact. I have not received any insider information about Bitfinex. This is just kind of a general belief or feeling of mine, and a lot of other people in the industry think the same thing, and you'll see many people online, of course, commenting about Bitfinex. And so, Mike, to speak to your point, of course, it's not going to be a good thing, but I've also seen people in my different circles, many of them are like, oh yeah, this is going to bring down crypto, and it'll burst the Bitcoin bubble, and everybody will freak out and leave and whatever. And I don't believe that for a second. It would probably cause a short-term price crash, and of course, some people would lose confidence, but the space is just so big now. There's so much money coming in. This is not like the Mt. Gox situation back in 2013. When Mt. Gox crashed and all those funds were hacked, Mt. Gox was, as a single exchange, responsible for like 90% of the trading volume of Bitcoin. And the entire market was very, very small back then. So I don't think even a catastrophic event like Tether disappearing and, $1 billion worth of funds basically disappearing into nothing, I don't think that would honestly have that big of an impact on the industry as a whole. I do need to keep stressing, though, that I want to make people aware that they should not take that risk. Okay, you shouldn't be holding funds in Tether just because it's working and functioning today doesn't mean it will be tomorrow. There's a lot of risk in general in cryptocurrency, and that's why we always say never invest more than you can afford to lose, because you could lose it. I mean, that's obviously you don't want to lose it, and we're here to invest and to grow our wealth, but it's always possible, right? So keep that in mind. And with that said, if you're doing something that's already inherently risky, and then there's another layer of risk being added on top of it, which is this centralized company of Tether basically telling us that they have our funds and that they're going to take care of us if we ever need to redeem these Tether. And I know, if people went to Tether today and $1.2 billion worth of Tether showed up and we said, hey, give us our US dollars, I can 100% guarantee you that would not be possible. So just think about it that way. Mike, your opinions, again, I want to put the comments back on, but I can't. The BeLive went out on me. So Mike says, your opinions pretty much align with me. I'm all for innocent until proven guilty, but bit dodgy. I think it'll hurt the price, but crypto will always recover. I just feel bad for anyone who actually holds USDT who will be effectively stuck with it. And this is the problem, Mike, and you bring up a good point. The real problem is that a lot of people, they go on these exchanges and they think USDT is actually the US dollar. And this is where Tether is really, really putting themselves in a risky situation, and where I think these guys are eventually going to end up in prison somewhere. If this does blow up, I believe that the Tether guys, the guys behind it, will face prosecution from the US government, and they may be thrown in prison for a long time, because they're basically confusing people into thinking that Tether on these exchanges is actually the US dollar. And of course, you can imagine what kind of repercussions the US government is going to bring down on anyone who's trying to claim to be able to print or create or, to back US dollars. Obviously, that's a huge issue. And so that's a lot of confusion. We see that, in the beginners group, there's questions here all the time. And a lot of people just don't understand that on a lot of these exchanges like Bitfinex or Bittrex or even Binance or whatever, all these exchanges that are using USDT, it's not the US dollar, guys. You are not holding dollars on those exchanges, okay? It's not backed up fiat currency that you can withdraw to your bank account, right? You're holding this USDT token, which is just another cryptocurrency that holds its value in this kind of convoluted way. But if that token goes to nothing, well then no, you don't have any dollars and you have no ability to redeem that, right? So that's an important point, Mike. A lot of people are going to get burned when that happens. So I'm going to keep telling you guys, I don't touch Tether at all. I never use it. And for me, that does make it a little more complicated sometimes to keep my profits or move my profits around. But I just won't touch it. So what's up, Matthew? Matt, what's up, man? It's good to see you. P.S. I'm still bitter about that Italy World Cup 2006 win. Yeah, you got to let that go, man. It's been 12 years. But yeah, good to see you on here. Can only find one way to buy Cardano, and that's through exchange from Bitcoin. Please help. Fabian, when you are looking to see what a cryptocurrency, like how to exchange it, just go on to coinmarketcap.com and you can type in that crypto or look at that crypto, and then on the markets page, you can see the different markets that it's trading on. And so, and the volume on each of those markets. So actually you can buy Cardano on Binance, which is my personal favorite exchange, with Ethereum. So if you want to get Cardano, just go ahead and get some Ethereum, and you can go ahead and trade on Binance. Again, as we talked about briefly, I do not recommend buying Bitcoin and then exchanging it for anything else, because you have expensive fees and slow transaction times. So I would recommend, if you want to get Cardano, just go ahead and grab some Ethereum from Coinbase and then send that Ethereum over to Binance and go to town. Any other questions, guys? Anything else you want to go over? I will do 15 minutes more, and then I'm going to eat some lunch, because this has been another long live stream. It's really fun, guys. I love doing these live streams with you, and they always go really long. And the reason for that is because you guys are such a great community. There's always people on here, asking great questions and interacting. And so I will make sure to keep doing these live streams, these 3-hour long marathons with you guys. And I will be doing another one on Christmas Day, actually. I don't know how long I can stay on, because I want to celebrate the holidays. But on Christmas Day, we will be announcing the winners of the contest, which is all of you that opted in to get the free beginners course and go through that. You're all being entered in for a chance to win a year-long membership to our Keys to Freedom private newsletter and Telegram group. We have a private Telegram group for our members, and you're actually going to win a live ticket to our live event in Sydney as well, which is going to happen in March. And so, and then there's also going to be another prize given away, where a second person is going to win a Nano S and $250 worth of Litecoin. So I'll announce that stuff on Christmas. But any other questions for now, guys? Any other things you want to go over? Please let me know. Yeah, there's a lot going on in the markets today. It is, these are those days where you wake up and you look at your portfolio and you're like, wow, this is not good. But again, like I said, it's all about perception and like thinking long term. So actually these kind of days provide great opportunities. Like for you, Fabian, you're talking about, you want to buy Ethereum or whatever. So it's much better for you today than buying yesterday, right? Because everything's on sale, if you will. It's a sale today. Ethereum's down 20% from what it was yesterday. So it's good, it's on sale, and you just got to think long term about this stuff. Sammy says, how do we enter? I assume you're talking about the contest. So the pinned post on this Facebook group that allows you to enter into and access the member area on our site to view the cryptocurrency for beginners course. And everybody that opts in and goes ahead and signs up between now and Christmas will be entered into that contest. And on that day, I'll just pick 2 random winners, and we'll announce it live, and it'll be all in the group. So check out the pinned post, Sammy, and you can go to keystofreedom.com/cryptocurrency101, and that's where the opt-in and all that is. Fred says, what are some of the things you look for when picking a coin? Number one is the use case. Is it solving a real problem that is in a market that's large enough for it to be successful? So, is it trying to solve a remittance issue? Is it trying to solve tracking or whatever? There's a lot of different things. So look at the use case first. The second big important thing is the team. Oh, it might be freezing again. Okay, we're back. Okay, so the other important thing, of course, is the team. Do they have developers that have created a product successfully before? Do they have entrepreneurs that have successfully built and preferably exited a company before? The other thing you want to look at is market cap volume, of course. The biggest potential gains will come in smaller market cap coins, so under $100 million market cap is very small nowadays in the cryptocurrency market space. So if you get into one of those coins early and the technology is really good, you can see some absolutely incredible return on your investment. Okay, so that's something to look at as well. But you also want there to be enough liquidity in the market, which means there's enough people actually trading and using that cryptocurrency every day for you to be able to easily liquidate your positions, to cash out, if you need to. So those are a few of the things that I look at. There's others, but the main ones are the use case and the team. Just really dig into the people behind it and make sure that they've successfully done something like this before. So Mike, if you're ever in Chiang Mai, let me know and I'll buy you a beer. Mike, yeah, I was just there before and I'll come back to Chiang Mai again soon. And same here, man. If you come down to Bangkok, I have a hostel and bar here, Dreamcatcher Bangkok, and we host crypto meetups, at least once a month. So come down, take a quick flight, and there's a lot of members of the group here that actually meet up at the cryptocurrency meetup in Bangkok. So all right. Any other questions, guys? I need some more coffee and some lunch, and I got to get a workout in today and a whole lot of work to do. So 10 more minutes max. When can we expect a crypto for dummies so even my mother can start? Trying to do that with the cryptocurrency for beginners course, Fred. So if you can check out my course, that's the idea. And I think actually there already is a cryptocurrency for dummies book, I believe. Let me look that up. I'm pretty sure I saw it. Those guys are quick with books. They get everything out very fast. There is a Bitcoin for Dummies book already out, so maybe they'll get on the rest of. I'm sure that goes over the basics, but yeah, there's already a Bitcoin for Dummies book. So yeah, that kind of stuff is happening. One of the main problems in this space right now is that things are super complicated and they're not easy to use. Yeah, Mercedes, I am still live. It's pretty crazy, right? I got maybe like 10 more minutes, but yeah. Mercedes, if you want to ask any questions, fire away. Anybody else that wants to ask questions, I'm going to do about 10 more minutes. But Fred, yeah, going on that point, it is still, even for technical people, myself and Dirk, we were talking about this yesterday because we were buying into an ICO. And, you use Mu, which is my Ethereum wallet, and you actually have to custom map your tokens and everything. And it's very confusing, even for people that do understand technology and have been, using computers for maybe their whole lives or for very long periods of time. It still can be very confusing with this stuff. So we are still in the very early days, and that has a plus side and a negative side. The con is that, of course, adoption is not quite there yet because, as you say, your mother or my mother or whatever, they're not going to use cryptocurrencies right now because it's very confusing. You have to know how to store your private keys. If you make a mistake and send to the wrong wallet address, you just lose your money and it's gone. There's a lot of different things, right? So the con of that is that it's harder for people to get into, but that actually also has a pro to it as well. And the pro to it is that because it is difficult and we are the early adopters, we're getting in there and we're going, we're working through these difficulties and barriers to entry. We are the ones that have the potential to see the most reward, the most profit and the most upside because we're getting in there early before it's easy. We're seeing these crazy gains in the market today. But I truly believe, in 5 years or whatever, when this is, everybody's using cryptocurrency, we're not going to see these hundreds of % increases in market cap, in even a matter of a day sometimes. So Mercedes says, I watched about 45 minutes of the broadcast, then left to wrap nearly 20 presents and watched 2 episodes of The Crown. Wow. So yeah, I've been on for a while, huh? Looking forward to watching the replay. Good to see you, Mercedes. I actually will send you a message after this because we need to catch up about the mastermind group and all that. So, Sammy, I know you discussed this already, but I just want to touch on it again. We are trading on Crypto Compare. Is that safe, or should we be moving it, and how? What do you mean trading on Crypto Compare? As far as I know, Crypto Compare is just like a website where you can see like the charts and the market and everything. Can you actually buy cryptocurrency on Crypto Compare? I'm not aware of that. Let me check real quick. Let's see. Oh, they've got wallets. So, I mean, they show different popular wallets on there. So I'm not sure what you mean by you are. Yeah, I'm not really sure what you mean. Can you clarify? Are you saying that on Crypto Compare, you can buy cryptocurrency and store it there? Oh, okay. Yeah, you say no, it lets you buy crypto on there. So are you buying it directly from them, or does it take you to like a different exchange as a like commission, I guess, or affiliate? Because I see on the exchanges, Crypto Compare has like Bitstamp, Bittrex, Poloniex, all those. I'm on the website right now trying to figure it out. Oh, buy, sell instantly. So that's actually Changely, right? I think you're using Changely, and they're just sending you through there. So yeah, basically you just want to use a wallet. Okay, so either Exodus as a desktop wallet, the Nano S or the Trezor, or one of these different hardware wallets, and then you just want to not keep your cryptocurrency on an exchange is the best idea. And that'll just keep you most safe. Sammy says, "Oh yes, sorry, no problem. It can be confusing. There's just so many places to buy and to exchange and to trade. So I actually wasn't sure what you were talking about in regards to Crypto Compare. I know that that's a great website for looking at the charts and actually doing research and stuff. So, we have a question. What do you think is a good minimum amount to start investing?" says Michael. And Michael, the answer is whatever you can afford to lose. That's it. I mean, it's up to your individual case. And I do not give investment advice. This is not individual tailored investment advice. I'm not a financial advisor. So, yeah, I mean, the good minimum amount to start investing is whatever you can afford to lose. Like, think of it this way. You could take that money and set it on fire, and yeah, that would suck, but you'd be totally fine. Okay. Never go to spread yourself too thin, right? Like, don't put something into your cryptocurrency portfolio that you're going to need to live the next day or week or month or whatever. Like, it needs to be an amount that you're totally comfortable with losing. And then, as you make more money in your job or your business or whatever, you can add more over time and use the strategies of dollar cost averaging. And yeah, I think, So Fabian says the last month has been crazy. Do you think we will see a big drop? Well, we're seeing a pretty big drop today. There's, all of the top 100 is down pretty much 20% or more across the board. So we are seeing a drop. We're seeing a correction. If you're asking if I think we're going to see some crazy thing like Bitcoin go back to like $5,000 or something like that, no, I don't see that happening. Of course, anything is possible, but I think there's just too much money moving into the market now. The market cap is too high and it's growing higher day by day, and there's just way too much hype, institutional money moving in. I think today we're actually seeing a correction. This is a legitimate correction across the board. Pretty much most of the top 100 coins are down double digits, some of them 20, 30%. So Tron is down 40% right now, for example. There's a lot of different projects that I'm looking at that have seen pretty significant retracements. And that's normal. Like I've been saying all along, guys, these things happen and it's normal in market cycles. So we can't just go up and up and up and up as much as we'd like to go straight to 100K Bitcoin or whatever. There's going to be, some ups and downs along the way. And that is healthy from a market perspective. It's necessary for the long-term success and health of the market. Fred says, who has the best blockchain technology? And that's an interesting question. There's different technologies being built for different things, and a lot of the projects right now just kind of exist in theoretical form. They're not actually out there yet. So to answer that question would be kind of tough, because like a lot of these projects say like, Cardano is the best, it's version 3.0, or EOS is the best, or this and that, but a lot of it hasn't been released yet. So actually we're going to see throughout 2018 who has the best blockchain technology and moving forward. But keep in mind, man, there's different use cases for each of these technologies. So it's not just going to be like the one best, okay? Depending on what you want to do, what you want to use a blockchain for, there's going to be different solutions that'll be the best possible solution for your specific use case of what you're trying to accomplish with the blockchain. So with that said, I will take one more question. Whoever is typing in the comments right now, you're going to be the last question because I need to eat some food and get a whole bunch of work done. Let me see. Any other questions here in the chat coming through? Thank you all. If any of you have been on since the beginning right now, well, then you've been on with me for a long time. So thank you for the support. Thank you for everybody that's watched the stream. If you're watching after the fact, thank you as well for getting through to the end here. There's been a lot of great information shared by Joel earlier, and Joel shared a lot of information. You learned a lot about Dash, and we are thankful for him for coming through. I will be working on setting up a lot more interviews and live streams with different people in the community. So Jake Allen says, what are your best resources for learning? Jake, you can go to keystofreedom.com and check out our beginners course. That's a great beginners resource. As far as like checking the markets, there is CoinDesk and Cointelegraph. I check those websites all the time. Blockgeeks.com is an amazing resource for learning like the technical side. If you want to learn how to code, if you want how to code smart contracts or how Ethereum works on a technical level, BlockGeeks is pretty amazing. You can learn a lot on there. And then, of course, there's the different Reddits and subreddits of the different coins. So if you're trying to learn about a specific project, then those are good to look at as well. There's a lot of different resources out there. We'll share more in the group. Actually, I'm going to do a pinned post in the group for you guys that'll have a lot of different resources. So it's easy for you guys to access when you come in the group. And so with that, guys, that is the last question I'm going to answer for today. I will be doing a live stream on Christmas Day, and Crypto Christmas will be going on. I will be giving away some prizes to some lucky people. So stay tuned. And in the next hour or so, you should see the third day of the video course pop up on the Keys of Freedom website. So yeah, check that out as well. And I look forward to sharing that with you. And thanks again, guys. I will be back on another stream for you very soon. Peace, and see you all soon.